Chapter 958. However, in front of Song Jiang, Uncle Rong did not show any signs of panic. After entering the Song family's living room, he saw the father and son of the Song family drinking tea around the sofa. Why would he drink tea in the middle of the night? It was just an act. Thinking of this, Uncle Rong put down his frown and sat beside Song Jiang. It's been a long time since I've seen you two play chess together. We were waiting for you. Song Buji put down the chess piece and looked up at Uncle Rong. Uncle Rong, your subordinates have been arrested by the police. So what? My subordinates are loyal to me, they will never betray me. You believe them, but how can we believe them? Right now, Yeshan Group is in troubled times. You should go abroad to avoid trouble. Song Buji said to Uncle Rong mercilessly, if the police find out about our relationship again, then the Song family's hard work for more than 20 years will be over. When Uncle Rong heard this, he couldn't help but sneer. He stood up and slammed the table. You and your son are still as good as ever. Who did I come back from abroad for? I killed someone for you, father and son. Now that my people are inside, you want to kick me away for your own safety? How can there be such a good thing in this world? Old phone, we're also thinking about the long term. Think about it. Now that Yeshan Group is being suppressed by the Lu Corporation, and Enchanting is interfering. Now that the police have caught your subordinate, if she can't take it and says everything, none of the three of us will be able to escape. If I go abroad, who can guarantee my safety? Plus, when I go abroad, you and your father will cut off our relationship. Then, won't I be the only one left to take the blame? Uncle Rong was no fool. He naturally would not do something that would harm his interests. I will never leave Jianchuan. Both of you, father and son, give up on this idea. When Song Buji saw Uncle Rong sit down again, he gave his father a look. The father and son had a tacit understanding. They could only appease him first. I know what you and your father are thinking. But we are in the same boat now. No one can stay out of this. We can only get through this together. Don't you want to deal with Xing Xiao? I have a way, we only have a chance to survive if we take him down. Therefore, from now on, the three of us must trust each other unconditionally. However, what Song Jiang was thinking about now was not how to take down Xing Xiao, but how to get rid of Uncle Rong. If the police found any clues, they would not be able to protect themselves, let alone Xing Xiao. I'll talk about my method first. See if there's any room for it to work. I know that Mu Chichi has an aunt in Jianchuan. Right now, the only person around her that's easy to deal with is this aunt. You too, think carefully about whether you want to deal with me or Mu Chichi's aunt first. I'll wait for your reply. After saying that, Uncle Rong stood up and returned to his room. Song Jiang sat on the sofa and took a deep breath. He regretted his radical actions. He had a good hand, but now, he had messed it up. Actually, the situation isn't that bad, but Dad, you have to be prepared. Song Buji was hinting that Song Jiang had to make a choice. The dangerous person upstairs could not be left alive. At the branch office, although Tang Yan knew about Feng Chang from Yang Wentao, he would not act rashly before Shenmei's confession came out. This was because he wanted to wait for Shenmei's confession to come out before he dealt with Song Jiang and the others in one fell swoop. The night gradually darkened. Jianchuan in winter seemed deserted and desolate. Tomorrow was Lu Zichen's inauguration press conference. As the CEO of Enchanting, Xing Xiao would also attend the press conference tomorrow. The next morning, Mu Chichi straightened her bulging belly and personally helped Xing Xiao put on an irregularly tailored white suit. Looking at his tall and slender figure, Mu Chichi could not help but say, Master Xiao, there will be many socialites and ladies at the press conference. They will all be staring at you. I'll only look at Lu Zichen. Xing Xiao lowered his head and said to her, are you satisfied? I want to go too. Lu Zichen is an outstanding man. I want to see him shine. Lu Zichen is an outstanding man? Huh? Xing Xiao could not help but repeat Mu Chichi's words. His tone was filled with jealousy. Mu Chichi immediately laughed. She grabbed his shirt and asked, "Can't I praise others? Go change your clothes. I'll take you out in 10 minutes. Xing Xiao did not continue discussing this issue with her. Instead, he wanted to bring her to the venue of the inauguration press conference. Mu Chichi seized the opportunity and quickly went to the cloakroom. However, after changing her clothes, she frowned again. "I'd better not go. I haven't put on makeup for a few months. I don't look energetic when I'm barefaced like this." After Xing Xiao heard this, he entered the cloakroom and held her hand. "You're my woman. I'll just look at you. It's not up to others to admire you, and I won't allow them to judge you. Can we go now?" After getting pregnant, women would sometimes let their imaginations run wild because the other party was too outstanding. However, because of this man's protection, Mu Chichi felt very at ease. The two of them walked downstairs hand in hand. They had already arranged to leave immediately, but Tang Yan's phone call delayed Xing Xiao. "Shen Mei has told us, so we're going to summon Feng Chang immediately." "She didn't mention Song Jiang?" Xing Xiao frowned and asked Tang Yan. "Step by step. These people are very cunning. Sooner or later, we'll get rid of them," Tang Yan answered Xing Xiao calmly. "When we catch Feng Chang, his relationship with the Song family will gradually become clear. When that time comes, we won't have a chance to send the father and son to prison. Feng Chang won't be that easy to catch." This was not Xing Zhao's discouraging words, but the truth. Feng Chang had many years of experience in the underworld. What he knew best was to protect his life. It doesn't matter if he's easy to catch or not. The fact that the police have summoned him means that they've found him. I don't believe that he and the Song father and son will be together in the end. I'll attend the Lu Corporation's event first and wait for your news. Xing Xiao saw that Mu Chichi was a little tired from standing downstairs, so he was about to hang up the phone. It would not be easy for Tang Yan to go to the Song family to capture them now. It might even anger Feng Chang. However, the path of the three of them was about to come to an end. He wanted to solve these three problems once and for all before the little thing gave birth. Mu Chichi saw that Xing Xiao had been on the phone for so long and guessed that it might be Tang Yan. She asked, "What's the progress on Captain Tang's side? Let's go to the event first. I'll tell you on the way." Xing Xiao hugged her and protected her as she left the Banyan courtyard and got into his black Bentley. After hanging up, Tang Yan also began to take action. He did not know what method the 9th Division had used to make Shen Mei confess. It had only been one night, but Shen Mei had actually vomited out everything that she needed to. Chapter 959. Because Uncle Rong lived in the Song family, Tang Yan went straight to the Song family with the summons. When the servants of the Song family saw so many police officers at the door early in the morning, they panicked and immediately went to look for Song Jiang. Song Jiang did not expect the police to arrive so quickly, so he asked Uncle Rong to find a place to hide. He went downstairs to find out why the police were here. Song Buji also saw Tang Yan downstairs from the bedroom on the 2nd floor. He did not need to think about it to know that Uncle Rong's so-called loyal subordinate had probably sold him out. "Why did you come to my house so early in the morning?" Tang Yan first took out his work ID and summons before slowly saying, "I thought that Mr. Song should know very well why I'm here. The murderer of Lu Zhao's case has been found out, but during the interrogation of the suspect, she accidentally confessed the mastermind behind it. That's why I came to the Song family to look for her." Why did the murderer of Lu Zhao come to the Song family to capture someone? Song Jiang acted as if he did not know anything. He was puzzled by Tang Yan's actions. Doesn't Feng Chang live in the Song family? Could it be that the police's intelligence is wrong? I think it's better for Mr. Song to hand him over. Otherwise, if the matter blows up, it won't be good for Yeshang Group. Song Jiang looked at Tang Yan with a murderous look in his eyes. He did not use Qingbin to kill him back then, but now he had brought himself big trouble. Then, Song Buji appeared behind the two of them. He looked at Tang Yen, who was wearing a black jacket, and said, "Officer Tang, why don't you just come in and search? Yeshang Group is now under attack from all sides. We can't afford to have any more rumors." Song Jiang turned around and looked at his son. His brows were tightly furrowed. Song Buji clearly knew that Uncle Rong was upstairs, yet he still asked the police to go in. Was he planning to perish together with everyone? Finally, there's still a reasonable person in Yeshang Group. Then, we'll have to offend you. Go in and search carefully. Tang Yen led the team and personally went in to search. He had a premonition that Feng Chang, who had been a big shot for decades, would not be caught so easily. However, he still had to take this step because he wanted to tell everyone that the Lu Zhao case was related to the Song family. After a search, there was no one else in the villa other than the father and son. Captain Tang, Feng Chang ran away. Old Cheng found Feng Chang's things in the Song family. Then, he pointed at the Song father and son with his chin and said, "Do you want to bring them back for questioning? Since you are harboring a criminal, of course you have to bring him back for interrogation." Tang Yen said to the Song father and son, "I'm sorry, Mr. Song. I'll have to trouble you and your son to come with us. Lu Zhao's case has nothing to do with us. But the criminal is staying in your house. Does it matter? Come with us to make a statement first. The police are handling this case. Please cooperate," Tang Yen said to the two of them in a businesslike manner. Song Jiang's face was ashen, and even the veins on his neck were vaguely visible. However, he had no choice. Let's go with Captain Tang. It's all for the sake of living. It's not easy. At this moment, Song Buji suppressed his father's anger. If he was really angry, he would fall into Tang Yan's trap. After all, it was easy for people to say and do wrong things when they lost control. "Okay, we'll go with you, but let me warn you, Captain Tang, Yeshang Group is not to be trifled with." "Are you threatening me?" The people's police are the least afraid of threats. After saying that, Tang Yen said to Old Cheng, "Take them away." Yeshang Group had a lawyer. Moreover, Shen Mei's confession only mentioned Feng Chang, but it did not mention Yeshang Group or the Song father and son. Tang Yen knew that it would not be of much use to bring the two of them back. However, he wanted to force Feng Chang to make a move. In addition, he wanted to tell the people of Jianchuan about the close relationship between Lu Zhao's case and the Song father and son. Today was the day Lu Zichen announced his inauguration. He also hoped that this big gift would allow those companies that supported local education and healthy development to have no worries. Then, the Song father and son got into the police car together. "What exactly are you planning?" Song Jiang asked his son with his back facing the police. "If you don't fulfill Captain Tang's wish today, he will think of other ways to deal with you. Dad, don't forget that in order to stop his subordinates from continuing to investigate Bai Sini's cases in J City, you sent someone to bump into his subordinates. Coupled with Qingbin's grudge, do you think he will let us off so easily? To be able to become the Shen family's godson-in-law and be brothers with Xing Shao, do you think he's really someone to be trifled with? So what? When I get out, I'll definitely teach him what it means to respect the old and love the young." Song Jiang did not take a small criminal police officer like Tang Yen to heart. After all, there was a big shot behind him who knew how to protect him. However, he did not know that this was a trap. As long as the deputy chief Liang he mentioned really had the guts to protect him, then the higher-ups would be able to save a lot of effort in investigating. However, this deputy chief Liang was probably not that stupid. "Captain Tang, what do you plan to do with the father and son?" Old Cheng asked Tang Yen in the car. "What can I do?" "Follow the normal procedure. When the time is up, I still have to let them go," Tang Yen answered Old Cheng as he ate breakfast. As Tang Yen ate breakfast, he answered Old Cheng, "I'll avenge you in J City, but not now." "I know. I'm already very grateful that Captain Tang still remembers it. In fact, Chief Long of the 9th Division did indeed have an agreement with Tang Yen. He wanted to capture the father and son to see if anyone would step forward to protect them. They already had a lot of insider information about Bai Sini's case, but because it involved a big case, they would not really make a move unless they had conclusive evidence. Also, report Lu Zhao's case and issue a wanted order. At 10:00 in the morning, at the venue of the Lu Corporation's inauguration press conference, before the speech even started, the people in the education world received news that the father and son from Yeshang Group had been invited to the police station for tea. It was related to Lu Zhao's case. Then, the police issued a wanted order. It turned out that there were 3 murderers who killed Lu Zhao, and the mastermind was Feng Chang. Wasn't it obvious that Yeshang Group had created such a brutal murder case in order to suppress their opponent? At 10:15 in the morning, Su Che brought the latest news. Yeshang Group's stock had begun to plummet. Xing Xiao hugged Mu Qiqi and sat below the stage. He tilted his head. At times like this, we have to pay more attention to safety. When a dog is forced into a corner, it will jump over a wall. Chapter 960. Tang Yan's failure to catch Feng Chang was within his expectations. So, what would Feng Chang plan to do next? Feng Chang worked hard for the Song father and son, but in the end, he was wanted by the police. If it were him, he would not be willing to let it go. Moreover, Feng Chang was ruthless and merciless. If there was no news from Tang Yan for a day, then the people around him and the little thing would be in extreme danger. On the stage, Lu Zichen had already appeared in front of the public in his formal attire. However, what no one expected was that he was holding his son's hand. The exciting moment is here. Mu Qiqi grabbed Xing Zhao's palm and was slightly sweating. She also hoped that in this world, good people would be rewarded. Under the spotlight, Lu Zichen faced his peers, the big shots of the industry, and the media. First, he bowed sincerely. Then, he held the microphone and began to speak. Before I announce that I will take over the Lu Corporation, would like to share a piece of good news with everyone. The police have arrested my father's murderer. I believe that my father's spirit in heaven will be able to rest in peace. Everyone must be very curious why I brought my son to the stage. Actually, just yesterday, he was tied to the rooftop of the school by my father's murderer. He narrowly escaped death. He's not even 3 years old, but as a father, I still hardened my heart to tell him that as a business, we rely on our conscience. It's too shameless to use such despicable methods to deal with competitors. I want him to remember this grudge, not to remind him to take revenge, but to remember that when he grows up, he should never use such methods to hurt others. Do you remember? The little boy did not have stage fright in front of so many adults below the stage. He nodded obediently. Dad, I'll remember. Seeing Lu Zichen like this, Mu Qiqi could not help but sigh. In the future, his child would definitely be very outstanding. Then, the little boy was picked up by his mother. At that moment, Lu Zichen looked at Xing Xiao again. Before I start my inaugural speech, I want to thank someone, CEO Sheng of Zhongteng. I know that before our Lu Corporation, you have helped many companies in Jianchuan, including the former Lu Corporation and the Su Corporation. You have done many meaningful things, but I really didn't expect you to invest so much in the education industry. Thank you for your generosity. You allowed our Lu family to find a glimmer of hope when we were struggling at death's door. I'm really grateful to you. Xing Xiao said nothing. Instead, he rose to his feet and bowed slightly in front of everyone. It was just a gesture. And because of Xing Xiao's presence today, Lu Zichen's inaugural speech was appreciated and supported by many successful people. First, it was to educate Lu Zichen's character. Only such a person would have hope in the future. Secondly, it was because of Zhongteng's support. The local education industry was half dead because of the impact of the Yeshang Group. Now that everyone was working together, they would definitely drive those crooked enterprises out of Jianchuan. An upright person is pleasing to the eye. Hearing Mu Qiqi's sigh, Xing Xiao tilted his head to look at her. It was because the Shen family's genes were strong that she had such a strong sense of right and wrong. Today, I officially announce that I have become the new chairman of the Lu Corporation. I hope that I can lead everyone to move forward fearlessly. With the warm applause, Lu Zichen's impassioned speech came to an end. Today was a good day, not only because of the rise of the Lu Corporation, but also because of the Song family's bad reputation. After the inaugural press conference, there was still a luncheon. However, Mu Qiqi was getting old. After standing for a long time, she wanted to lie down. When Xing Xiao saw this, he couldn't help but hug her and say, "Let's go home. You're so happy today." "It's fine." Mu Qiqi shook her head. When others saw Xing Xiao's protective and meticulous appearance, they really couldn't imagine that this person was still the crown prince of Huang Yao who killed decisively and did things based on his mood. What kind of charm did this little bride have to make such a person become so mature for her? "I'll help you sit by the side for a while. After I say goodbye to Lu Zichen, we'll leave." "Okay." Mu Qiqi quickly nodded. "Go ahead. I'll sit by myself." It was just a few steps, so Xing Xiao didn't force her. He turned around and walked into the crowd. S3, Mu Qiqi also sat down on a comfortable chair. At that moment, the hotel waiter walked to Mu Qiqi's side with a note and said to her, "Miss Mu, someone asked me to give this to you." Mu Qiqi looked at the piece of paper warily. After confirming that there were no other traps, she reached out and picked it up. Then, she saw a sentence written on it. "You will definitely pay the price." Mu Qiqi frowned and suddenly looked around the hall. She had a hunch that the so-called Uncle Rong was probably nearby. Otherwise, he wouldn't know that Xing Xiao wasn't by her side. Of course, she wouldn't chase after him foolishly. Wouldn't that be playing into the enemy's hands? A moment later, Xing Xiao returned to her side. Seeing her strange expression, he frowned. "What's your expression?" Mu Qiqi reached out and handed the note to him. "I think this Feng Chang is probably targeting me." Xing Xiao tore the note and calmly helped Mu Qiqi up. "Let's go home. There's nothing to worry about." She was the weakest link between Xing Xiao and Tang Yan. Not only because she was a woman, but also because she was a pregnant woman who was about to give birth in 2 months. In addition, she was the one who discovered Shin Mei's matter, so it was only natural that Feng Chang would look for her. "Don't worry. Leave everything to me." Mu Qiqi shook her head. "I'm not worried. I just think that Feng Chang is very bold. He even dared to come to such a place. The police are looking for him everywhere. Whether he dares or not, no matter what he's doing, he won't be able to achieve his goal." Xing Xiao held Mu Qiqi's hand and led her out of the hotel venue. "When we get home, I'll ask Fifth Aunt to prepare some calming tea for you. Then, have a good rest. Don't think about anything else." "Are you trying to coax me like a 3-year-old child?" Mu Qiqi was a little helpless. "Don't worry. My mental fortitude is very good. He's the one who has to live like a street rat now, not me. He's the one who should be afraid, not me. I have so many people around me to protect me. What's he to me?" Xing Xiao had almost forgotten that this thing had always taken an unusual path. Chapter 961. She needs to be fed. Xing Xiao nodded and pulled the blanket back up for her. "Rest well at home. Xiao Xiao, take care of my aunt's safety for me." This was what Mu Qiqi was most worried about. She was afraid that Feng Chang's so-called making her regret was to touch the person closest to her. "Got it." Xing Xiao got up and left the bedroom. Even the little one could feel that Feng Chang's target was Su Zipei. How could he not think of it? In the short term, the best person for Feng Chang to get close to was Su Zipei. I really hope that I can catch Feng Chang as soon as possible and deal with the Song family as soon as possible. Mu Qiqi lay on the bed and felt extremely powerless. Now that she was dragging her heavy body, she probably wouldn't be able to help at all. After returning to Zhongteng, Xing Xiao immediately called Tang Yan. Is there any news of Feng Chang now? This person is good at disguising himself and knows anti-reconnaissance methods. He's a fierce bandit. I'm afraid it won't be easy to successfully arrest him. CEO Sheng, what do you think? At the event venue today, the little one received a warning from Feng Chang. He should have been at the scene at the time. You can bring someone to the hotel to look for clues. He sees Xiao Qi as a target for revenge? Right now, none of us know who he has set as his target, but, in order to make him focus on us, I'll go to Z City for a meeting in 2 days. I won't be in Jianchuan. Feng Chang will definitely seize this opportunity. When the time comes, we'll invite him into the trap. Xing Xiao explained his plan. This method is a little risky, but Feng Chang will definitely come. You want Xiao Qi to be the bait? Tang Yan could not help but frown. No, find a female bodyguard with good skills to pretend to be her. However, Feng Chang might go to another place because the security system in the Banyan courtyard is too good. You should also arrange for people to ensure their safety. Where? Qi Er's aunt's house, the small villa, Xing Xiao said extremely calmly. At the very least, his target is me. However, Su Che is by my side, so you don't have to worry. Let me think about it first and assess the danger. After all, it's a gamble with your safety. You can't joke about it. I'll give you an answer tomorrow. Tang Yan did not immediately agree to Xing Zhao's suggestion. Although he knew that Xing Zhao's plan was right, Feng Chang was too crazy. No matter what you plan, I will deliberately release the news that I'm going on a business trip tomorrow. I understand. After the call, Xing Xiao immediately called his secretary to arrange the interview in Z City 2 days later. It would be best if he could find an opportunity to make it public. Su Che, who was standing beside Xing Xiao, thought that Xing Zhao's plan was crazy too. If you really let Feng Chang know your whereabouts, then his target must be you. I understand Feng Chang's mentality very well. He has been in the underworld for so many years, and he has always been like this. Su Che stood beside Xing Xiao with his hands behind his back. Do you want to reconsider? Qi Er is about to give birth. I have to deal with Feng Chang before that. I deliberately revealed my whereabouts more thoroughly. You're playing with your life. Xing Xiao smiled confidently. I believe in my brain, and I believe in your skills even more. Chapter 962. Are you afraid that you won't have the chance to get it back? Yen, I don't have any other requests. You just have to pay attention to your own safety. After all, you're already a father. You have to pay attention to the safety of the CEO because he's about to become a father too. Don't worry. Since he was going to do it, he had to make sure that nothing went wrong. Therefore, before the next morning, Tang Yan had already replied to Xing Xiao, we can go according to your plan, but the song Father and Son will be released tomorrow morning. We have to think of a way to stall these two people. Then it's up to you, Xing Xiao replied softly as he stood by the window in a black nightgown. I got it. Actually, it wasn't difficult. Since the song Father and Son were related to the suspect, the police could find an excuse to protect the surveillance 24 hours a day to prevent Feng Chang from contacting them. In addition, the Yeshan group was already troubled by internal and external troubles. He believed that the song Father and Son would not be in the mood to do anything else, especially not to touch Xing Xiao. But you have to settle down, Chi-Chi. You don't have to worry about that. After saying that, Xing Xiao hung up the phone. When he turned around, he saw Mu Chi-Chi sitting on the bed and looking at him. Did I disturb you? Are you talking to Captain Tang on the phone again? Mu Chi-Chi asked in confusion. Hurry up and rest. Don't make a big deal out of it because of me, okay? Xing Xiao returned to the bed and reached out to hug Mu Chi-Chi. He saw that she had a pained expression. What's wrong? Leg cramps. Mu Chi-Chi blinked and said, it's very easy to have problems in the middle and late stages of pregnancy. Without saying anything, Xing Xiao grabbed her leg and gently massaged it. Now you know how hard it is to be pregnant. Will you still give birth in the future? Of course, Mu Qiqi replied heartlessly. Mu Qiqi replied heartlessly. Think about how many brothers and sisters you have. We only have one child. When I came to play with you, the child was alone. You're so unreasonable. After Xing Xiao finished massaging her calf, he said softly, in 2 days, I'm going to Z City for a meeting. I wanted to bring you with me, but you're already pregnant, so it's better for you to stay at home. After Mu Qiqi heard this, she immediately stopped smiling and asked seriously, how many days? I'll be back the next day. Then go. Be careful. Mu Qiqi was a sensitive person, and her mind would run wild. Who would believe that Xing Xiao was really going on a business trip at such a critical moment? However, she would not stop him. Because she knew Xing Xiao. If she couldn't fight alongside him, she would be his shield so that he wouldn't have to worry about anything. Do you feel better now? Go to sleep. Okay, hug me tightly. In truth, both of them knew very well that Xing Xiao knew that he could not hide from that thing, and he was certain that it would not stop him. In this world, the person who understood him the most was this thing. Because in her heart, the Xing Xiao she knew was never a coward. He would only do what he was confident in. At most, she would follow him through life and death. The next day, the father and son of the Song family, who had been locked up in the interrogation room for 24 hours, were released. As Xiaolong expected, the father and son immediately went to complain. However, Tang Yan did not care. He sent Old Shen and another policeman to follow the father and son. Chapter 963. This is entirely because CEO Song did not provide any effective information. We are also afraid that the suspect will come back and contact you. This is also to ensure your safety. Old Xing thought about Tang Yan's instructions and said to the Song father and son seriously. Call your Captain Tang over. Captain Tang still has to track down Feng Chang's whereabouts. I'm sorry, I'll send you home now. Get in the car here. Also, our colleagues will protect you closely to ensure that you're safe before Feng Chang is caught. Old Sheng was not afraid of Song Buji's threat at all. Song Buji let go of Old Sheng and couldn't help but laugh. You're good. Send the two of them home. These two people had almost caused him to lose his life. How could he let them feel comfortable so easily? He couldn't. The Song father and son had no choice but to get into the police car. However, both of them were filled with anger. When they got home and locked up in the living room, Song Jiang exploded. You've gone too far. It's useless for you to be angry now. The Lu Corporation has already risen. Just yesterday, when we were locked up in the police station, Lu Zichen had already given his inaugural speech. Now that Yashan Group is facing internal and external troubles and scandals, are you still thinking about revenge? Song Buji was much calmer. Since he was home, he should take a good shower and continue playing the game. It couldn't be that others were playing well, but the father and son who started the war would be eliminated, right? I'll contact your Uncle Rong. Are you going to make the mistake from 25 years ago again? Song Buji stopped him. Now that the police are looking for Uncle Rong, he won't let the police have an easy time. What role do you play in the middle? Let them solve it themselves. Isn't that the best outcome? Song Jiang seemed to have woken up from a dream as he looked at Song Buji. From his son's plan, he was going to completely get rid of Feng Chang. We're just in charge of reorganizing Yashan Group. Why bother with the police? Don't forget, your target is the Shen family. After hearing his son's words, Song Jiang almost thought that he had gone senile. But aren't you tired of being followed at home by this group of jinxes every day? Tang Yan wants to delay us. It's good that Uncle Rong can't contact us and avoid our responsibility. Isn't that perfect? Song Jiang calmed down and nodded in satisfaction. You're finally not going against me. Stay at home and watch the show. After saying this, Song Buji took off his coat and returned to his room. He hadn't showered for the whole night. As a germaphobe, he couldn't tolerate it at all. Song Jiang sat down on the chair. He suddenly felt that he was not as calm as his son during this period of time. Therefore, he planned to take advantage of the fact that the police were following him for the next 2 days to reflect on himself. On Tang Yan's side, he was still searching for Feng Chang in Jianchuan. However, this sly old man was too good at disguising himself. Therefore, there was no news of him ever since the arrest warrant was issued. Tang Yan agreed to Xing Zhao's suggestion. He planned to ensure the safety of the Xing family from 3 aspects. Whether it was Mu Qiqi, Su Zipei, or Xing Zhao himself, Tang Yan would not give up on any of them. In the afternoon, Tang Yan personally went to Zhongteng, and Xing Zhao had just finished an important meeting. Xing Zhao's secretary quickly called Mu Qiqi when she saw that. I need you to provide me with all of your itinerary and time points, and even who you're meeting with. I want to know everything clearly. Feng Chang can see through your arrangements. He'll only believe you if you send people to wait near the banyan courtyard and the small villa. Our goal is to make Feng Chang think that we didn't expect him to come looking for me directly. Xing Zhao did not intend to reveal his exact itinerary to Tang Yan. Xing Zhao, Feng Chang is a ruthless bandit. Tang Yan was a little helpless as he tried to persuade Xing Zhao. You want to use the greatest chance to make Feng Chang focus on you, right? From the beginning to the end, you didn't want Feng Chang to look for Xiao Qi and her aunt. You're so relaxed. How could Feng Chang not know that you're plotting against him? Even if you don't think about yourself, you have to think about Xiao Qi. I'm going to Z City. That's not your jurisdiction. It'll take time to mobilize police resources. Moreover, those police officers might not cooperate with you. They might alert the enemy, Xing Zhao explained. Second, I have Su Che. Moreover, I'll deliberately design a few weak points and wait for Feng Chang to come to me. If I'm not confident, I won't tell you at all. Thirdly, no one is more concerned about Qi than I am. The matter with the Song family has been dragged on for too long. I don't want her to worry about being watched or being in danger when she's giving birth. Tang Yan opened his mouth, but he couldn't say anything. What if something happens to you? Have you thought about it? Hearing Tang Yan ask about what he was most worried about, Xing Zhao leaned back and chuckled. I'm here to catch someone, not to die. But, before Tang Yan could finish his sentence, the door of Xing Zhao's office was pushed open. Mu Qiqi walked to the 2 men with her bulging belly and sat down beside Xing Zhao. Captain Tang, just listen to Xiao Zhao's arrangements, Mu Qiqi said to Tang Yan. No one can change his decision. Don't I still have you? Xing Zhao pinched her palm and said. But I won't stop you. At most, if you're injured, I'll take care of you for the rest of your life. If you die, I'll be buried with you. When Mu Qiqi said this, she was very casual. To her, it was as if it was only natural. Tang Yan got up from the sofa at the right time and silently left Xing Zhao's office. He thought that there was no way to continue the conversation today. After Xing Zhao heard Mu Qiqi's words, he held her shoulder and turned her to face him. Who taught you that? Those words. No one taught me. That's what I'm planning, Mu Qiqi said firmly. I knew that Captain Tang would come to look for you today, so I came over in the morning. I'm in your staff area. I believe in you, Master Xiao. Believe me? Why did you run over here? Are you afraid that I'm hiding something from you? Xing Zhao pulled her into his arms. When I come back, I'll clean up the Song family and give you a baby as a gift. Okay. Mu Qiqi nodded with a smile. Since you're already here, accompany me to work. I'll take you out for dinner tonight. As Mu Qiqi answered, she started to move her hands on Xing Zhao. She was already 8 months pregnant, but she wasn't being honest. Xing Zhao's eyes darkened. He couldn't help but ask the little thing, "Do you want me to take a cold shower on such a cold day?" Mu Qiqi pouted and immediately stopped moving. Chapter 964. At that moment, downstairs, the cleaner who was sweeping the floor by the roadside would look at Zhongting's door from time to time. In the morning, he saw Mu Qiqi enter. In the evening, he saw Mu Qiqi and Xing Xiao come out of Zhongting's door. After coming out of the Lu Corporation's inauguration conference, Feng Chang tied up a cleaner and stripped him of his clothes. He dressed himself up so dirty and smelly that no one could get close to him. He cleaned the streets around Zhongting and also ate at the place where Zhongting's employees would eat. Although others would despise him when they saw him, no one would have thought that he was the criminal currently wanted by the police. Feng Chang. CEO Sheng is going to Z City for a meeting. I heard that he will bring a group of employees with him. I wonder who will be lucky enough to go. I heard that the snacks in Z City are delicious. When is CEO Sheng going? This isn't news. Why don't you know? The day after tomorrow morning. The employees of Zhongting were all talking about Xing Zhao's business trip to Z City, but they did not expect that a cleaner beside them would overhear it. In fact, the employees of Zhongting were not so free. However, the higher-ups had requested that no matter where the employees ate, they had to spread the news. That was why this group of people were discussing such a problem on such an occasion. It turned out that Xing Xiao was going on a business trip. But was there a need to make such a big fuss about it? Feng Chang sneered. He was more willing to believe that this was a trap set up by Xing Xiao and the police to lure him into the trap. Did they think that he, Feng Chang, was so easy to deceive? However, since Xing Xiao was willing to lie to him, he might as well play with Xing Xiao. He wanted Xing Xiao's little bride to be buried with his Shenmei. After dinner, Xing Xiao and Mu Qiqi went home together. However, they saw the lawyer waiting at home. Mu Qiqi looked at Xing Xiao in confusion. Xing Xiao carried her upstairs and asked the lawyer to follow her to the study for a discussion. CEO Sheng, this is the will you asked me to draft. Other than the shares of Zhongting and Huang Yao, all the movable and immovable assets under your name will be inherited by Madam. The lawyer placed the will in front of Xing Xiao. What are you doing? Mu Qiqi suddenly frowned and looked at Xing Xiao unhappily. Birth, old age, sickness, and death are all very common. In fact, I've wanted to do this for a long time. I've made my will long ago, but I haven't brought it to justice yet. I believe that Mom and Dad won't have any objections if I leave everything to you. You have no objections? But I do. After saying that, Mu Qiqi turned to look at the lawyer and said loudly, I want to make a will too. What do you have to leave for me? Xing Xiao asked, amused. Why don't I have it? I have this in my stomach. Mu Qiqi pointed at her stomach. If you don't make a will, the child won't call me Dad? Xing Xiao stopped her from being willful. This is just a precaution. I could have done it behind your back, but now that I'm doing it in front of you, can't you just listen to me calmly? It was only then that Mu Qiqi calmed down. She looked at him with a look that said, let's see what else you can say. I made such a big move just to show Feng Chang. Tomorrow, the lawyer will go and notarize it. Feng Chang naturally thought that I went on a business trip with the determination to die. In order to make the scene realistic, I want to sign this will. Are you bluffing? Mu Qiqi obviously did not accept this reason. If you sign it, it'll count. Do you think I'm really stupid? If you want to sign it, sure. Write a supplementary statement. When will this will automatically become invalid? Otherwise, I'll take your son and run away. You can do as you see fit. When the lawyer heard Mu Qiqi's threatening and coquettish tone, he immediately smiled. CEO Sheng, why don't you listen to Madam? Even if you want to put on an act, there's still room for maneuver. All right then. Xing Xiao nodded and wrote another supplementary statement. He signed and stamped it. Are you satisfied now? Are you so sure that Feng Chang will really fall for it? Mu Qiqi was unhappy when she saw the word will. This man was only in his early 30s. He could still harm people for at least 50 years. Why was he acting like an old man? Master Xiao, let me tell you. I've already made my attitude clear. Whether you live or die, I'll follow you. When the child is born, he will have so many elders to dote on him. I'm not afraid that he will have no parents. Xing Xiao looked up at the lawyer and told him to take the will and leave quickly. The lawyer understood. He quickly packed up the documents and disappeared from the banyan courtyard. Only then did Xing Xiao carry her and place her on his lap. Don't say that we'll live and die together. I don't have any plans to die. You have to live to 100 years old for me. Wouldn't that make me an old monster? Mu Qiqi shook her head. Thinking of that scene, she felt a chill run down her spine. Also, what's the point of living so long? If you're here, I'll be here. If you're not, will I live to 100 years old and suffer? When the time comes, my children will despise me and send me to a nursing home. Let's see if your heart aches. Idiot. Xing Xiao chuckled and sat on the chair with Mu Qiqi in his arms. He did not move for a long time. The feeling of having both his wife and child in his arms was very special. After a long time, he whispered in Mu Qiqi's ear in a low and seductive voice, "When you're 22 years old, I'll immediately apply to recognize our marriage and change it to a new marriage certificate." Who cares? Mu Qiqi slid down from Xing Xiao's body. Xing Xiao watched as she entered the bathroom with her belly propped up. The smile on his lips became even more obvious. This thing had made up her mind to be with him no matter what. Therefore, he could not let anything happen to her. He could not leave her alone and be sad. However, this thing did not ask him for an answer. If she left first, what would he do? He would not choose to commit suicide because the experience with this thing was enough for him to slowly recall for the rest of his life. Only when people were alive could they have feelings. If they were dead, there would really be nothing left. He greedily wanted to live. He wanted to feel more of the little things he had with this thing. Mu Qiqi, who had entered the bathroom, leaned against the wall. She felt uncomfortable because she had never thought that Xing Xiao would actually plan to make a will. The two of them had been together for so long. This was the first time she had deeply imagined what she would do if Xing Xiao was no longer around. What she felt now was that she might be in so much pain that she would forget to breathe. It would be fine. So what if it was Feng Chang? Xing Xiao had never lost before. This time, he would never lose. Thinking of this, Mu Qiqi felt a little better. Only then did she stick out her belly and pick up the toothpaste for pregnant women. However, she also realized that her hands were actually trembling. Chapter 965. That night, Mu Qiqi lay in bed, but she could not fall asleep. Even if she fell asleep, her mouth would mumble something. No one knew what she was saying. Xing Xiao woke up in the middle of the night and heard the little thing crying. He quickly turned on the wall lamp and shook Mu Qiqi awake. Mu Qiqi woke up with a start. There were still tears at the corners of her eyes. "Did you have a nightmare?" Xing Xiao's voice was soft and hoarse. "I'm fine." Mu Qiqi shook her head and reached out to wipe away the tears at the corners of her eyes. "Maybe the child in my stomach kicked me." Xing Xiao sat up and hugged Mu Qiqi in his arms. He rubbed her head and said, "Even if you want to find an excuse, find a decent one. Tell me the truth. What happened?" Mu Qiqi could not hold it in for a moment. Her voice was a little choked. "I dreamed that I was dissecting Lu Zhao. After the autopsy, I realized that the person lying on the autopsy table was you. Xiao Xiao, can you not go? I'm really scared. Can you not go?" After Xing Xiao heard her words, he hugged her tighter and let her vent. "I'm guilty of making a pregnant woman cry. However, you're just generous with your words. Why didn't you stop me from the beginning? Do my words matter? Mu Chichi raised her head and asked with a sobbing tone. I naturally can't listen to other people's words. I'm Xing Xiao. But I naturally have to listen to you because you're Xing Xiao's woman. Xing Xiao hugged Mu Chichi and patted her back gently. Calling you an idiot isn't an insult at all. So, you're not going? I'm not going, Xing Xiao answered. Seeing Mu Chichi's sad look just now, Xing Xiao's heart ached. He could do anything, but he could not see the little thing sad. Then what about Feng Chang? Don't take it for granted. Xing Xiao hid her hand under the blanket and covered it. Then, he leaned over and kissed her forehead. I'll send someone else. Feng Chang will think of another way. Are you really not going? Don't tell me you're going to leave after I fall asleep. Xing Xiao laughed when he heard that. Are you that insecure? Why don't you try pregnant? I know Feng Chang is not easy to deal with, but I also believe in Captain Tang's ability. I think you should also try to believe in Captain Tang. He will find Feng Chang's whereabouts. Do you believe that? Alright, let's not talk about this anymore. Can we sleep now? Xing Xiao looked at the time. It was only 4 a.m. Even if he wanted to inform Tang Yen that there was a change in the plan, he had to wait until tomorrow morning, right? Do you mean what you say? When was it not? Xing Xiao asked in return. Mu Chichi pouted and thought about it for a moment. In the end, she obediently lay down. Don't blame her for being willful. Pregnant women were very fragile in the first place. She wanted to be Xiao Xiao's support, but she really felt that he did not have to go. It was not a multiple-choice question. While the couple was lying down to rest, Tang Yen had already been on duty for an hour. That was because the bodies of the sanitation workers had been discovered and reported to the police. Some people even claimed that they had a clue about Feng Chang, who was the foreman of the sanitation workers. It was a cold day, and it was shrouded in thick fog. The visibility was less than 50 meters. Tang Yen and the other 2 criminal police officers saw the bodies in the sanitation workers' rented house and learned about the situation from the foreman. Officer, the one who died is one of my workers. His name is Fan Linsheng. Usually, he's in charge of cleaning this area of Zhangping Road. But today, someone reported to me that Fan Linsheng wasn't at his post. The person cleaning Zhangping Road was a stranger. I quickly went to take a look and found that the person was actually a fugitive. Luckily, I was alert and didn't go up to call him. If I really angered those outlaws, would have lost my life. In order to find the real Fan Linsheng, I rushed to his residence. When I kicked the door open, I found him soaked in a water tank. I was so scared that I immediately called the police. Captain Tang, Zhongting is nearby, the assisting police officer said to Tang Yen. That Feng Chang might be trying to find out more about CEO Sheng and waiting for an opportunity to make a move. That makes sense. It's easy to deal with him if he appears. I'm just afraid that he won't show up. Tang Yen looked at another innocent person with a gloomy expression. Thinking of this, Tang Yen continued to turn around and ask the foreman, after that, did you pay attention to the whereabouts of that wanted criminal? I saw him walking towards the north. I also have acquaintances in that area. If you want to ask around, I can help. That area is the slums, and the social relations in the surrounding area are complicated. However, I have 2 acquaintances who can speak to me in that area. Tang Yen looked at the cleaner's body and quickly said to one of his subordinates, call the forensic doctor to deal with it. I'll go. Okay, Captain Tang. How many more people does this Feng Chang want to harm? After Tang Yen said this, he ignored his fatigue and quickly led his men to follow the foreman to the slums. That area was indeed the most complicated area at the edge of Jianchuan. It was difficult to control the people there. Therefore, it was indeed a good choice for Feng Chang to hide here. Then, the foreman brought Tang Yen and the others into a billiard hall. Even in the early hours of the morning, there were still many young people playing here. Brother Cheng, I want to ask you about something. The foreman walked up and said to the owner of the shop, you have a lot of connections. Can you let the neighbors on the street pay attention to this person? He just killed one of my workers, and he's a wanted criminal. The foreman handed over the photo. The other party was a big guy. He was tall and had a cigarette in his mouth. At a glance, it was obvious that he was not to be trifled with. However, when he spoke, he was very loyal. I hate those cowards who use their hands to vent their anger the most. If you have the ability, come and kill me. If you have news of him, call us. Tang Yen picked up a pen and paper on the counter, wrote down his phone number, and handed it to the owner of the billiard hall. Even if this kind of person doesn't want money, don't let me see him. Feng Chang was a fugitive, and now that he was full of revenge, he definitely had to come out to do some activities. Alright, that's all for today. I'll wait for your good news. Take care, officer. The person called Brother Cheng put away the note that Tang Yen handed over and said to Tang Yen and the man. However, it was this officer that made Tang Yen instantly frown. However, he did not show it. Soon, the few of them came out of the billiard hall. At this moment, Tang Yen said to the foreman, "Thank you for your hard work today." "It's fine, officer." After leaving the slums, Tang Yen got into the off-road vehicle, but he did not drive away immediately. Instead, he said to his subordinate, "Find the highest hotel nearby to stay." "Captain Tang, do you have any doubts?" Brother Cheng seemed to know our identities the moment he arrived, so when the foreman spoke to him, he didn't express any doubts about our identities. After I handed him the note, do you remember what he called me? Chapter 966. Tang Yen stayed in a nearby hotel. Of course, he did not dare to close his eyes. He held a pair of binoculars in his hand, but because of the fog, visibility was blocked, so he could only give up. Thinking of this, an idea suddenly flashed through his mind. It was a crazy idea. "Go and find me some makeup tools and a set of ragged clothes," Tang Yen instructed his subordinate. "Oh, okay," the subordinate quickly said and turned to walk out of the hotel. It had been many years since he had disguised himself. He did not know if he could still deceive everyone like he did in the past. At that moment, it was already dawn. The sky was gradually turning blue. His subordinate returned to the hotel with a pile of women's things, although he did not know what Tang Yen was going to use them for. "Captain Tang, are you going to disguise yourself? Do you want me to find 2 makeup artists who know how to dress up?" "There's no need. Just wait outside. Help me find an old phone that can only be used to take pictures." Then, Tang Yen carried his pockets into the bathroom. The subordinate scratched his head. He really did not understand what Tang Yen was going to do. He could only go out again and go straight home to find the old phone that he had never used before. Then, he returned to the hotel. At that moment, Tang Yen had already finished disguising himself. However, when he walked out of the bathroom, he gave his subordinate a fright. "Captain Tang, you," at that moment, Tang Yan's appearance had completely changed. His clean and tidy face was now covered in scars, especially the burn on his left cheek to his cheekbone. It gave people goosebumps when they saw it. "Can you still recognize me?" Tang Yen put on his tattered clothes and hunched his back. Even an immortal would not be able to recognize him. The subordinate shook his head vigorously. "I can't recognize you at all. I didn't expect you to have such a skill, Captain Tang." "Cut the crap. I'll go down and get some information. You stay here and wait for further notice. Don't let Feng Chang have another chance to go out and hurt people." "But you're alone." The subordinate was a little worried about Tang Yan's safety. "No need. You just have to take care of yourself." With that, Tang Yen took the old, tattered phone and walked out of the hotel room. This was his old profession. He knew better than anyone how to protect himself. Not far from the billiard hall, an old man carrying a bucket of rancid water rode on a small tricycle and left the alley. The police had already found the body of the sanitation worker. Last night, Tang Yan, that annoying criminal police officer, also came to the billiard hall. However, the police definitely did not know that the owner of this billiard hall, Qing Zhizhong, was his former underling. So, you want to capture him just like that? Dream on. Xing Xiao was going to Z City with great fanfare. Did he think that he would follow him? He was too lazy to waste his energy. During the day, he would go out to gather information and buy some materials to make bombs. At night, he would stay in Qing's house and do some experiments. Of course, the two people he liked the most were the father and son of the Song family. He was on the wanted list for this father and son duo, but what about them? It was just that Yashang had suffered a little. However, with Song Wuji's ability, it was not difficult for him to live a peaceful life. Looking at him again, everything had been destroyed. It had been destroyed by the father, son, and the little bride. Now that the Jianchuan police refused to let him go, he had to let the Jianchuan police know how powerful he was. Even if he was going to die, he had to drag some people down with him. When the sky brightened, Jianchuan seemed to have returned to peace. After Xing Xiao got up, he called Tang Yan, but found that Tang Yan's phone was turned off. Mu Qiqi was still in a coma because she had expended too much of her emotions last night. Xing Xiao put on his windbreaker and came out of the cloakroom. Seeing that the little thing still showed no signs of waking up, he went downstairs and instructed Fifth Aunt, "When young madam wakes up, prepare some calming soup." When Mama Xing saw him go downstairs, she asked him, "I heard you're going to Z City." "I'm not going. Your daughter-in-law won't allow it." Xing Xiao directly dispelled Mama Xing's thoughts. That Feng Chang is really a cruel fugitive. The police just reported that someone died because of Feng Chang, and it was a sanitation worker. Mama Xing had reason to be so worried. Xing Xiao suddenly understood why Tang Yan's phone was turned off. He should be at the scene of the crime. "Don't worry, Mom. The Vice President will take care of tomorrow's itinerary. Nothing will happen." Xing Xiao comforted her, making Mama Xing feel more at ease. "That's good." Mama Xing heaved a sigh of relief. "Now that Qiqi is old, she can't do without you the most. Take more time to accompany her at home. No matter how important work is, it's not as important as your child. Don't worry, okay?" Xing Xiao patted his mother on the shoulder and left the house after breakfast. Su Che was already waiting at the door. When he saw Xing Xiao, he immediately came up to him and said, "I've already gone to find out about the sanitation workers. It was indeed Feng Chang who did it. Now, the police are urgently investigating the case. I also heard that Captain Tang, in order to confirm Feng Chang's whereabouts, he even sneaked into the slums. I think we can completely trust Captain Tang on this matter." Xing Xiao had never doubted Tang Yan's ability. He just wanted Feng Chang to be brought to justice one day. "I'll let the Vice President handle the matter of going to Z City tomorrow." After saying this, Xing Xiao opened the door and got into the car. Su Che was stunned for a moment before he heaved a sigh of relief. It was not worth it for a person like Feng Chang. Then Madam should be the happiest. Was she happy? Xing Xiao thought to himself, perhaps. She was so noisy in the first half of the night. After knowing that he wasn't going, she slept soundly and drooled for the second half of the night. Her emotions were so obvious on her face. She must be happy, right? Then, about the will, does it not need to be notarized? Su Che asked as he drove. The will still needs to be notarized. However, it's changed to a gift, and there's no need to make a big deal out of it. I originally planned to give these things to the little one. In the future, I'll just be a worker and work for her. After Su Che heard this, he clicked his tongue in his heart. It was obvious how much he doted on his wife. Then, we don't have to care about Feng Chang's case anymore, right? Later, go to the branch office and ask them what kind of assistance they need. As long as it's related expenses, Zhongting will bear all of them, Xing Xiao lowered his head and answered as he looked at his phone. Understood. Su Che nodded. Because Feng Chang had killed another person, the father and son of the Song family were now very nervous. Although the police were searching for Feng Chang, no one knew when this ruthless bandit would drag the father and son into the water. Back then, Song Jiang had invited Feng Chang back to help him. However, who knew that Lu Zhao's case would turn out like this? Chapter 967. However, old Sheng was not annoyed. He only replied, "Old Mr. Song, are you afraid to go out? What do you think? There's a murderer outside." Song Jiang pointed outside the door. "Then why did you ask him to help you back then?" Old Sheng crossed his arms and asked Song Jiang. "Are you regretting it now? Let me tell you, the police need evidence to speak." Old Sheng shrugged, indicating that he had already shut up. Song Jiang was so angry that his face turned red, but he could not do anything to the police. He could only curse, but other than that, he could not do anything else. Old Sheng did not want to waste time in the Song family. He wanted to follow the team and follow up on Feng Chang's case. However, his wish was soon fulfilled because Xing Xiao cancelled his trip to Z City. In other words, he did not need to delay the Song father and son any longer. Since that was the case, what was there to protect? Upon receiving the notice to retreat, Old Sheng immediately revealed an excited expression. "Old Song, I know you don't want to see me. As you wish, my colleagues and I will immediately evacuate the Song family. Please forgive us for disturbing you for the past day and night." Hearing Old Sheng say that they were going to evacuate, Song Jiang was suddenly stunned. When the police were still here, although he was annoyed, at least he was safe. Now that the police were suddenly going to evacuate, if Feng Chang came back, who would be responsible for his and Song Buji's safety? No, shouldn't the police give me an explanation? Why did you come and leave just like that? We want to gather all the police forces to arrest Feng Chang. If you have any news of Feng Chang, you can call the police immediately. Old Sheng put his hands on his waist and laughed. Then, he led all the police officers and evacuated from the Song family. Song Jiang was a little angry. "Are you playing with me?" Song Buji came out of the room and looked at his troublesome father. He was a little disappointed. "You used to be quite good at pretending. You faced everything with a smile. What happened now? Feng Chang killed again." Song Jiang sat on the chair and slammed the table. "I'm most afraid that he doesn't want to live and will drag us down with him. There are still bodyguards around. Now, you can only pray that the police solve the case as soon as possible." Song Buji leaned on the table and sneered. "If I had known that he was such a scourge, I wouldn't have suggested that you recruit him." While the father and son were talking in the living room, the family's helper suddenly rushed in and said, "Master, young master, the water pipe in the house burst. We've already gotten workers to deal with it. However, the leakage is quite serious. I hope you can go upstairs to avoid it." After Song Jiang heard this, he kicked his chair. "You can catch up with everything. You should ask Deputy Liang to protect you now." Song Buji looked at his father with a smile, his teasing tone growing stronger. But there was nothing they could do. The water pipe had burst, and the sound of running water could be heard from the kitchen. The father and son could only hang their heads and go to the second floor. The servant immediately called for a worker to repair the water pipe. The worker was wearing a mask and a hat and carrying a toolbox. After entering the Song family's villa, he didn't need to ask for directions at all and directly found the Song family's kitchen. "You're finally here. Hurry up and fix it. The house is flooded, and the main switch is broken. Okay, please go out first." The man put down the toolbox and said to the servant, "Hurry up, the two male masters are angry upstairs." With that, the servant left the kitchen, and the plumber immediately took out a few things from the box. While he was repairing the water pipe, he also placed a package wrapped in black cloth in the cupboard. If it was ignited, the Song family would instantly turn into ruins. And the two scumbags upstairs would also be smashed into pieces. At 9:00 in the morning, Muchichi finally woke up after a good night's sleep. She got up and saw that Xing Xiao was not by her side, so she quickly went downstairs. Xiao Qi, walk slowly. Mama Xing saw her anxious expression and knew what she was looking for. She smiled helplessly. Eighth brother has gone to Zhongteng. He won't go to Z City. Don't worry. After Muchichi heard this, she heaved a sigh of relief. I had a nightmare last night, so I was scared. I've already educated eighth brother in the morning. Now that you're about to give birth, I asked him to spend more time at home with you. Mama Xing helped Muchichi sit down at the dining table. Before he left, he asked fifth aunt to prepare some calming soup for you. Drink it while it's hot. Muchichi nodded. However, after breakfast, Feng Shanshan carried her son and went to the banyan courtyard. Why are you here? Muchichi walked around the living room with her belly propped up. Tang Yen went out in the middle of the night and hasn't come back yet. I couldn't sit still at home, so I brought the child over to see you, Feng Shanshan explained as she shook her son. What happened now? Muchichi's expression changed at once. Another sanitation worker died, Feng Shanshan said. It was done by Feng Chang. A passerby provided clues, so Tang Yen is still at the scene. After hearing this, Muchichi did not know what to feel. On one hand, she was glad that she had stopped Xing Xiao in time. On the other hand, she was filled with guilt for those innocent lives. You're still pregnant. Don't think about anything else. Muchichi did not speak for a long time. She only looked up at Feng Shanshan and asked, I'm quite selfish, right? I didn't let Xiao Xiao take the risk, but I could only watch as Captain Tang searched for Feng Chang everywhere and was in danger at any time. Feng Chang's target is me, not those innocent people. Although I don't know why he made me his #1 target, he just hates me. That's undeniable. Shanshan, do you blame me? You're a pregnant woman. What can you do? Moreover, Tang Yen makes a living. He's a police officer, and investigating cases is his mission and responsibility. Not to mention the danger this time, every time he carries out a mission, he comes back injured. But this is his choice. Feng Shanshan chuckled and said, I don't blame you, nor do I blame him. I just feel that it's hard to bear. Muchichi knew how worried she was about Xing Xiao. Feng Shanshan was very worried about Tang Yen. It's precisely because it's hard to bear that I carried my son up here for a walk. After hearing this, Muchichi felt even more guilty because she felt that she should be the one to bear all of this. Don't think so much. The child in your womb is important. Shanshan, believe me. If possible, I will help Captain Tang solve the case at all costs, but I really don't have the strength to do so now. Chapter 968. You two children are just too affectionate. Mama Xing could not continue to avoid them. She walked out of the room and sat beside Muchichi. But think about it. Do they really need you to worry about them like this? Yes, the enemy is indeed ferocious. The outlaws are scary and intimidating, but you have to believe that they are not fighting alone. There are so many people waiting to catch the criminal. Why can't you have a little trust in each other? If you are too concerned about gains and losses, it will be easy for you to get hurt. Although I know that one of you has just given birth and the other is about to give birth, if you want them to be free of distractions, then listen to mommy and let the men do what they want. They have their own world to live in. Don't restrain yourselves just because of your emotions. Mommy is also worried about eighth brother. But there are some things that he needs to do. I also know that Shanshan has no other relatives in her family. But I also believe that you support Tang Yen from the bottom of your heart, don't you? Don't be afraid, okay? To you, they are unique, but to us, they are just as important. Mama Xing's words made the two women's eyes turn red. You have to know that you are already mothers. You are no longer the little girls who need to be coaxed and lied to. You have to shoulder the responsibility that belongs to you. Mommy. Mu Chichi leaned into Mama Sheng's arms. I'm too selfish. Come, you come too. Mama Sheng reached out to Mu Chichi and Feng Shanshan and hugged them like a normal mother. Be strong, okay? I have always believed in those two boys. Why don't you believe in your own eyes? Perhaps it was because they were not old enough and experienced enough. The two little women in Mama Sheng's arms were very sad. Especially when their men were facing danger, they always thought that they did not want them to be in danger. They believed in them. At this moment, it was not easy to do so. Because there was only one person. If he was gone, he would be gone forever. Just as Mama Sheng said, the more worried they were, the more they would worry about gains and losses. Do you feel better? The two of them poked their heads out of Mama Sheng's arms and nodded at the same time. Since that's the case, let men do what they want to do. As long as they love you, let them bear their own responsibilities. Thinking of this, Feng Shanshan felt much more enlightened. A few years ago, when Tang Yen was undercover, he had been facing desperados. He was not afraid then, and he would not be afraid now. She was the one who had dug her own grave and caused Chi-Chi to suffer as well. You too. Eighth brother isn't at the front line. Why are you so worried? How could he be scared so easily? I don't want Xing Xiao to go to Z City because I don't think it's necessary. If there's a need, I won't stop him, although I'm a mother. Mama Xing pinched Mu Chi-Chi's nose. Silly girl. Mu Chi-Chi and Feng Shanshan looked at each other. Indeed, the two of them were really silly. Thank you, Mommy. You've untied the knot in our hearts. It's great to have you. Although your mother has passed away a long time ago, I've always treated you like my own daughter. There's no need to thank me. Since you've thought it through, go lie down and rest. No, I want to hug you for a while more. Mu Chi-Chi leaned on Mama Sheng and refused to let go. Women were emotional and emotional. So, no matter what men did, even if they knew that there would be no accidents, they would still worry. This was their nature. However, Mu Chi-Chi also thought about Mama Sheng's words carefully. A woman's excessive feelings were actually a burden to a man. It was a burden to both herself and the other party. So, when Xiao Xiao returned home at night, she would tell him not to worry about her. He could do whatever he wanted. Since she had already sworn to follow him through life and death, what was there to be afraid of? Of course, the two men had never thought that their women were troublesome. Especially Xing Xiao. Mu Chi-Chi had been with him since she was 17. All these years, she had been devoted to him. Even now, she was still obsessed with him. He knew it very well. So, he was used to taking care of the little one's feelings. As for Tang Yen, he was filled with guilt and gratitude towards Feng Shanshan for not being at home all day. However, he was a police officer, and he had to work hard to catch criminals. He had always thought that it was his blessing to be able to marry such a good woman. So, many times, he actually hoped that Feng Shanshan could be a little greedy. He could give his life to the country, but at the same time, he could also give it to her. It was noon. A homeless man was probably extremely hungry, so he found a bowl of instant noodles that no one wanted in the garbage and squatted on the street, wolfing it down. It was at the entrance of the billiard hall. The guard glanced at the homeless man and said in disdain, "Get lost. We're still doing business." The homeless man had only run a few meters away. At this moment, an old man on a tricycle stopped in front of the billiard hall and glanced at the homeless man. However, he did not suspect anything. Instead, he carried the bucket and entered the billiard hall again. This time, the security guard did not stop him. The homeless man only had one eye at the moment, so it was convenient for him to see people. However, he could recognize that it was the wanted criminal, Feng Chang. Feng Chang had indeed concealed himself very well, but Tang Yen still recognized his characteristics. In the afternoon, the old man carried the bucket and left on his tricycle. The homeless man followed from afar, as if he was begging crazily. Because this was Brother Chang's territory, no one knew if there was anyone watching them. Therefore, Tang Yen hid himself perfectly. On a tall building not far away, Old Sheng was using binoculars to check the situation downstairs. Which one is Captain Tang in disguise? He looked at the faces of normal people and did not find anyone who looked like Captain Tang. At this moment, the young policeman laughed. It's that homeless man. Old Sheng took a closer look and immediately felt a little nauseous. Captain Tang is too reckless. Even if junior sister Shanshan came, she wouldn't be able to recognize him, much less me. When Captain Tang first came out, I was also shocked. Are you sure that Feng Chang is in that billiard hall? Old Sheng continued to ask. Yes. Then why didn't you apply for an operation? Old Sheng did not understand. If he had known earlier, he would not have protected the Song father and son and missed so many details of the case. Captain Tang said that we have to wait for further confirmation. Moreover, this place is Feng Chang's territory. Once he runs into the crowd, we won't be able to catch him at all. Instead, we'll alert the enemy. We'll wait for Captain Tang to have a meeting with us tonight. Chapter 969. Throughout the day, the old man who poured the rancid water came in and out of the billiard hall 3 times. Because his identity was too inconspicuous, no one paid attention to him. However, Tang Yen could see it clearly, so Tang Yen suspected that there was something in the old man's oil barrel. He came in and out so frequently to transport something. And if he wanted to figure out what it was, Tang Yen thought that he could put on a good show. Because his persona was that of a tramp. The last time he saw Feng Chang coming out of the billiard hall, Tang Yen deliberately went forward and grabbed Feng Chang's tricycle. He pretended to be hungry and rushed up to snatch the barrel from the tricycle. Feng Chang turned around and saw this. He pushed Tang Yen away and kicked him a few times. Stupid beggar. After saying that, he put the oil barrel back on the tricycle and looked around. After making sure that no one was paying attention, he rode the tricycle again and left through the alley. Tang Yen lay on the ground and groaned. Although he could not see what was in the small barrel, he smelled it. It was the smell of gunpowder. At 6:30 in the evening, Tang Yen first rushed back to the hotel to take a shower and wash off his sloppiness. Then, he returned to the branch office for a meeting with all his colleagues. I found Feng Chang's whereabouts, but this person is very cunning. He's hiding in the slums, pretending to be an old man who pours rancid water. He also has a powerful informant backing him up. Qing Zhizhong, the owner of the billiard hall in the slums, is also the tacit boss of this area. He has a lot of connections and many informants. In a place where social relations are extremely complicated, this brother Cheng is very popular. He can almost summon 100 people. What's even more frightening is that this brother Cheng and Feng Chang have a very close relationship. According to my observation, Feng Chang is now living in this brother Cheng's billiard hall. I've been a tramp in the slums for the whole day. From 7 in the morning to 6 in the evening, Feng Chang went in and out of the billiard hall 4 times. That's not counting the number of times he went out before I arrived. Every time he went out, he brought a few oil barrels with him. I pretended to be hungry and went to investigate. There was a pungent smell of gunpowder inside. So, the difficulties we face now are, first, the slums are Brother Cheng's world. If we want to catch Feng Chang in the slums, we have almost no chance of winning. Second, where did the things that Feng Chang transported go? Thirdly, what does he want to do? Tang Yen and all the police officers in the station were having a meeting. At this time, Feng Shanshan carried her son and delivered supper to the people at the police station. When Tang Yen saw Feng Shanshan, he immediately stopped the meeting and looked at her. His voice immediately became gentle. Why are you here? Everyone looked at the door and saw Feng Shanshan holding the baby. They immediately joined in the fun excitedly. "Oh my god, this is Captain Tang's son. So cute. Her cheeks are bright red. Super cute. Captain Tang, I want a hug. I want a hug." Rest for 5 minutes. The meeting had been going on for a long time, and no one had a clue. Now that Feng Shanshan had brought supper, the group of hungry wolves could not hold it in anymore. They quickly thanked her and happily went to the dining area with their lunch boxes. His son was surrounded by a group of men, but Tang Yen could still whisper to Feng Shanshan, "It's such a cold day. Be careful not to catch a cold. You haven't returned home since early in the morning. I just wanted to come and see you. You're not out of confinement yet. You can't be exposed to the wind like this. Besides, the child is still young. I'm not afraid of being wrapped like this." Feng Shanshan held Tang Yan's hand and said, "If you're too tired, remember to rest. I'll take good care of myself and the child. Don't worry, Fifth Aunt and the confinement nanny are very careful." When Tang Yen heard this, he only felt guilty. He kissed Feng Shanshan's forehead. "It's so good to have you. Catch Feng Chang well. I'll leave with my son now." Feng Shanshan had been educated by Mama Sheng during the day at the Banyan courtyard, so she could understand this man's hardships and difficulties. He was not only her husband and the father of her son, but also the people's police. "I'll go home later." Feng Shanshan smiled. Indeed, when you understood a person, there would not be so much resentment and anger in your heart. You would have more room to accommodate love. Then, she took the child from her senior brother's hands. Looking at her back as she left, Tang Yan's eyes couldn't help but turn red. When old Sheng saw this, he immediately patted his shoulder and said, "I'll send junior sister off. Captain Tang, continue with the meeting. I'll be back soon." "Thank you. Be careful. Junior sister is a good woman. Captain Tang, you have to cherish her." Old Sheng had seen all kinds of things, but this was the first time he had seen such a sensible person. "I'll be back soon." Tang Yen put away his emotions because he had to come up with a plan to arrest Feng Chang as soon as possible. Only then could he go home and sleep in peace. Not far from the door, old Sheng caught up with Feng Shanshan. He drove his car and sent Feng Shanshan home. "Junior sister, I'm sorry. As a police officer, I'm quite helpless. Captain Tang went out to the field at 3 in the morning. He was undercover for the whole day today. He only ate a normal meal during the meeting." "I don't blame him," Feng Shanshan said. She knew that as long as Tang Yen was at home, he would be a dedicated husband. In the middle of the night, when her son was hungry and crying, as long as he heard it, he would definitely be the one to get up. After this case is over, I hope the higher-ups can give Captain Tang a good vacation. As long as Tang Yen could rest normally, Feng Shanshan would be satisfied. She did not necessarily need a vacation. However, on the way back, Mu Chichi called from the Banyan courtyard. Her tone was very urgent. "Feng Shanshan, is that you?" "Of course it's me. Who else could it be?" On the other end of the phone, Mu Chichi suddenly heaved a sigh of relief. "I thought you were killed in the explosion. Aren't you at home? What happened?" "Your house exploded. Now the firefighters are here." "Where are you?" Feng Shanshan thought of the explosion that Mu Chichi mentioned and immediately felt a chill run down her spine. If she hadn't brought her son out to see Tang Yen, perhaps by now, "I'm on my way back. I brought my child to the police station to deliver supper. Come back quickly and call Captain Tang." After saying that, Mu Chichi hung up. Feng Shanshan put down her phone and quickly looked at old Cheng. "Senior brother Cheng, I might have to turn around and go back to the police station. Something happened at my house." When old Cheng heard that, his brows furrowed, but he reacted quickly and immediately turned around. Feng Chang had actually sent a copy of the gunpowder that Tang Yen had found during the day to Tang Yan's house. A moment later, Tang Yen saw Old Sheng and Old Sheng turn around and frown. Chi-Chi called just now and said that there was an explosion at home. Chapter 970. There was no need to think about it. This was Feng Chang's revenge, or rather, a warning. After Tang Yen heard that, he hugged Feng Shanshan and his son tightly. Fortunately, you came to deliver supper. Fortunately, it's all thanks to Aunt Xing's guidance this morning. I didn't believe that Shao-Chi was my benefactor before, but now I do. Tang Yen hugged her and thought of how Feng Chang had gone in and out several times today to transport that thing. Therefore, it was definitely not only his family that had been given explosives. No one had thought that this bandit would be so cruel. Old Sheng, take the photo to the traffic control department immediately and get the surveillance footage of Feng Chang's activities. I was afraid of alerting the enemy during the day, so I couldn't follow him. Call me as soon as you have any news. The rest of you, follow me to the police station. However, the location of this field trip was a little special. It was his own home. He had promised to go home and rest at night, but he didn't expect it to be in such a way. Also, the Song family might have been sent this thing. 2 of you go and confirm it. No one could predict how crazy Feng Chang was. Your speed would never be able to keep up with his movements. At 9:00 at night, the servants of the Song family were boiling water in the kitchen. After someone came to clean the pipes during the day, she kept feeling that there was a strange smell in the kitchen, but after searching around, she didn't find anything suspicious. Auntie, the water I asked for isn't ready yet? Song Buji, who was wearing his home clothes, walked downstairs with his hands in his pockets. When the servants saw it, she immediately smiled and said, "Young master, it's done." "All right, you can get off work now," Song Buji said as he walked toward the stove. The servant took off her apron and was about to get off work when she heard the doorbell ring. The helper quickly went to open the door and saw 2 police officers standing in front of her. "Officers, what can I do for you? Did any strange people come to your house today, or did you receive any strange packages?" The police asked. "Other than the plumber, no other strangers have come in," the servant answered after thinking for a while. "Where did he move? Can you bring us there to have a look?" After hearing the police's words, the servant turned to look at Song Buji awkwardly. Song Buji held his coffee cup and looked very relaxed. "They only evacuated at noon, and now they're back to protect us." "Song Buji, don't be so cheeky with me. Now that Feng Chang has sent explosives to his enemies, if you don't want to be torn to pieces, you'd better cooperate and put away your young master heirs. We're very busy too." The 2 policemen did not give Song Buji any face. After saying that, they were about to force their way into the Song family's home, but they were stopped by Song Buji. "Even if you are the police, you can't trespass on private property, right? Feng Chang didn't send anything here. You can go back." The 2 policemen looked at each other. They really couldn't stand Song Buji's ignorance. "All right, we've already been here, but you're the one who didn't cooperate. If something happens, don't blame us for not reminding you." After that, the 2 of them closed the door. Song Buji smiled coldly and leaned against the door frame to drink his coffee. However, before the 2 policemen could walk far, they heard a loud bang. They turned around and saw that the entire villa had been engulfed in a sea of fire. Although the father and son of the Song family deserved it, as a policeman, saving lives and helping the wounded was their mission. Therefore, they called the ambulance while running to the fire. 8:00 in the evening. Tang Yen brought the group of people to his home. However, the small villa that was originally in good condition had now turned into ruins. The fire brigade had already extinguished the fire, so the police were going to start an investigation immediately. Taking this opportunity, Tang Yen sent Feng Shanshan to the banyan courtyard. When Mu Chi-Chi saw Feng Shanshan's face, her eyes turned red. "Do you know how scared I was when I heard the loud noise? I had a premonition that something had happened down there. I thought. I brought the child to the branch office to deliver supper to Tang Yen. Feng Shanshan reached out and hugged Muchichi. To be precise, it was Auntie's words that enlightened me and saved us. Feng Shanshan turned her gaze to Mama Sheng. This is your own blessing, Mama Sheng replied as she hugged the child. I might have to trouble Auntie to take in my wife and child tonight. It's a mess outside now. I have to go out and clean up the mess first. It's no trouble at all. Just stay. Mama Sheng liked lively scenes. Moreover, Feng Shanshan's child was so cute that she could hug him. Where's CEO Sheng? Hasn't he gone home yet? Tang Yan asked Muchichi before leaving. Since Feng Chang was his enemy, Xing Xiao should also be one of his targets. He's still in a meeting, but I've already called him. He's on the way back, Muchichi answered. Actually, according to normal times, Xing Xiao would only be home in half an hour. Call him and tell him to do his best to investigate Zhongting's safety hazards. I received a call from my subordinate on the way here just now. The Song family was not spared. What about the Song father and son? They've been sent to the hospital. After Tang Yan said that, he gave Feng Shanshan a few more instructions. Then, he quickly disappeared from the entrance of the banyan courtyard. Muchichi had a premonition that tonight, there might be a life-and-death battle with Feng Chang. As for the Song father and son, it was best if they did not die. It would be better if they were half dead. On the other side, Xing Xiao had already received the news of the explosion while he was still in the meeting. Su Che rarely entered the door and interrupted his meeting on such occasions. The seriousness of the matter was obvious. Therefore, from the moment something happened to Tang Yan's family, Xing Xiao had already asked Su Che and all the employees of Zhongting to stop what they were doing and immediately conduct a comprehensive safety check. Feng Chang was a lunatic, so he had to retaliate in a crazy way. As of 8:30 p.m., Zhongting did not find anything unusual. Thinking about it, Feng Chang probably did not have time to deal with Zhongting. Of course, Xing Xiao did not leave out the Xing family. On Huang Yao's side, Xing Kai used the same method to completely eliminate the safety hazards with his subordinates. For now, everything was normal. It looked like tonight was destined to be a sleepless night. Fortunately, everything was fine at home. Xing Xiao stayed in the office and did not get up to go home. In fact, when he was talking to the little one just now, he had already said that he was on the way. President, it's time to go. Su Che, do you believe it? I have a feeling that Feng Chang will come here tonight. Xing Xiao turned his head and said to Su Che. Xing Xiao turned his head and said to Su Che, maybe I've been with the little one for too long, and I've been infected by her magical power. Chapter 971. Now, there had been 2 explosions in Jianchuan, and one of them was the police's residence. When the chief found out, he flew into a rage and applied for a multi-department joint operation overnight just to arrest Feng Chang. While Tang Yan was returning to Jianchuan for a meeting, 4 plainclothes guards were arranged outside the billiard hall. As long as they found out about Feng Chang's movements, they would immediately report it. Not only that, but the police also decided to arrest Feng Chang after midnight to minimize the threat to the innocent people. However, Feng Chang had created so many big cases. He already knew that the police would definitely do their best to arrest him this time. However, he had blown up Tang Yan's home and the Song family's home. It was worth it, but he still wanted to blow up Zhongting's building. Xing Xiao was right. Feng Chang's final destination was Zhongting. Relying on his familiarity with the surrounding terrain, he had already left the billiard hall with the guests when night fell. At this moment, he was no longer in the billiard hall. He had not been able to see through Tang Yan's disguise for the whole day, but the few plainclothes policemen were too lousy. They let him know that his hiding place had been exposed. A bunch of idiots. You want to catch me? No way. At this moment, Feng Chang had transformed into a hunchbacked old man who was obsessed with walking his bird and had blended into the police's line of sight. At the garbage recycling station not far away, the big guys that he had transported during the day were now hiding in the piles of garbage. Zhongting's security was very strict. This was the conclusion that Feng Chang had come to after lurking around for a few days. Tonight, he wanted to put these big guys on each floor of Zhongting and wait until tomorrow morning to see the building collapse and human flesh flying everywhere. That scene would definitely be spectacular. He had carefully studied Zhongting's security system. The cameras covered almost all the areas except for one place, and that was the bathroom on each floor. In addition, he knew where Zhongting's surveillance system was located. At 10:00 in the evening, the people on the streets gradually thinned, and the slums also returned to peace. Tang Yen divided his men into 3 groups. One group surrounded the billiard hall, the other group was responsible for wearing plain clothes and going in to cause trouble, and the last group was to intercept the exits outside the billiard hall. When the time was up, Tang Yen gave the order to take action. A few plainclothes guards who pretended to cause trouble immediately entered the billiard hall to cause trouble for Brother Cheng. "Who is the boss here? Come out. Did my brother get beaten up here today?" A few plainclothes officers aggressively entered the billiard hall. Brother Cheng immediately stood up from the cashier and walked in front of them. "What's all this fuss about? How dare you cause trouble at Brother Cheng's place? My brother was beaten." Both sides began to push and shove. "You want to fight?" The two sides quickly got into a physical conflict. 2 of the plainclothes even rushed into the billiard hall, but they did not find any trace of Feng Chang. Taking advantage of the chaos, one of the policemen carefully searched all the rooms in the billiard hall, including the room where the gunpowder was hidden. However, he did not find Feng Chang. Then, the young policeman sent a message to Tang Yen. "Captain Tang, something's not right. Feng Chang has already run away. Capture Qing Zhizhong for interrogation," Tang Yen ordered immediately. Then, a few plainclothes officers took out their IDs and held Qing Zhizhong. "It's a cop. Where did Feng Chang go?" Old Qing took the lead and punched Qing Zhizhong in the stomach. "Do policemen like to hit people?" Qing Zhizhong spat disdainfully. "To tell you the truth, you're too inexperienced to catch Big Brother. He just left with the guests. What are you policemen doing? Can't you tell? Besides, you can't catch up to him at all. He's gone to do something big." Interrogating Qing Zhizhong at this time would definitely not yield any results. Tang Yen took a deep breath and took out his phone. At the same time, he said to old Sheng, "Bring him back to the station." Then, he dialed Xing Zhao's number. "CEO Sheng, are you home?" "I'm still in Zhongting." Xing Zhao sat in the dark office and answered in a low voice, "But Feng Chang is here too. He's hacking into our security system now. I'm watching a good show. I'll be right there." Zhongting's security system was personally modified by a professional American security team. It was divided into 2 parts. The daily control room was on the 3rd floor underground, while the main system was on the 12th floor. Feng Chang thought that he had found Zhongting's weakness, but he did not expect that his every move was under Xing Zhao's surveillance. After cutting off all the alarm systems, Feng Chang began to move things from the truck downstairs to Zhongting's corridor like a diligent bee. There was a small medicine bag every 2 floors and it was placed in the firebox. If one did not pay attention, no one would be able to discover it. And every time he went to a floor, Su Che would follow behind him and take away the explosives he had put down. This old man was really energetic. Xing Xiao did not even see how he opened the door of the surveillance room. He really had some tricks up his sleeve. Xing Xiao was watching the old man work diligently when the little one called. "It's 10:00. You're not home yet. Aren't you going home tonight?" "I have to go back, but I have to do my best to investigate Zhongting's security problems tonight, so it's a waste of time." "You sleep first." Mu Qiqi was silent for a few seconds. She seemed to sigh and said again, "I know you're lying to me. Zhongting's employees have already gotten off work." Xing Xiao face-bombed. He had almost forgotten that the traitor, the secretary, was in the office. Actually, you don't have to lie to me. I won't stop you from going out to do things. Just tell me when you can go home. Mu Chichi's voice was very calm. Although I don't know what kind of situation you're in at Zhongteng, I hope you can tell me the truth no matter what. 2 hours. Look at the time. I'll definitely go home. With that, Xing Xiao hung up. Feng Chang suddenly raised his head and seemed to have noticed the surveillance cameras that were still working. He seemed to have understood something. He did not go to the next floor but quickly entered the office area. Su Che quickly followed, but Feng Chang, who was hiding behind the door, discovered him. The two of them were in the dark, but they started fighting. Feng Chang was no match for Su Che, but he was extremely cunning. Knowing that he could not win, he immediately hid under the desk. Tang Yen also rushed to Zhongteng and called Xing Xiao again. The entire building was pitch black. Where was Xing Xiao now? Captain Tang, you're here too. The surveillance room on the 12th floor. The password is 1224. After you enter, restart the security system and you'll be able to see where Feng Chang is. How are you now? I'm at the top floor. Su Che is chasing after Feng Chang. Tell Su Che to be careful. Feng Chang might be carrying a homemade weapon. With that, Tang Yen hung up the phone, pulled out his gun, and entered the building. Chapter 972. Su Che chased after Feng Chang, but Feng Chang was too cunning. He used all his previous experience in the underworld, causing Su Che to suffer a lot. Su Che decided to use a little trick. He pretended not to be able to find Feng Chang and turned to walk toward the corridor. He pretended to be upstairs, but in fact, he was hiding at the corner of the stairs. However, he did not expect Tang Yen to restart the security system, and the entire building of Zhongteng was lit up. Su Che looked forward and saw that Feng Chang was already holding a gun. He was one step ahead of him and aimed it at his head. Kid, let's see if your hand or my gun is faster. Take me to Xing Xiao. Su Che raised his hand and was about to walk down the stairs, but Feng Chang gestured for him not to move. Just take the stairs. Feng Chang was extremely cautious. He knew that if he took the elevator, he might be set up, so he asked Su Che to take the stairs. Behave yourself. Don't turn around. Otherwise, I'll shoot you in the head. Su Che looked at Feng Chang from the corner of his eyes. At the moment, he had no choice but to walk step by step toward the top floor. Xing Xiao had already seen the scene of Feng Chang pointing a gun at Su Che from the surveillance cameras. At that moment, Tang Yen had already arrived at his office. Tang Yen put away his gun and walked to Xing Xiao's side. Su Che has been kidnapped. Feng Chang should be coming up to the top floor to see me. I'll go from behind and stop him, Tang Yen said as he looked at the surveillance cameras. He paid attention to the number of floors and said to Xing Xiao, let's keep talking. Feng Chang is very wary. When you go downstairs or block him, there will definitely be footsteps. I'll go down with you and confuse him. There are 8 elevators in Zhongteng. I'll press the button to stop on each floor and disturb Feng Chang. You act according to the situation. Okay. Tang Yen saw Xing Xiao follow him out of the office and the two of them split up. At that moment, Su Che and Feng Chang were still 12 floors away from the top floor. With their speed, Tang Yen went down to the 8th floor and waited at the entrance of the corridor. However, perhaps because he sensed that there would be a lot of danger after going up, Feng Chang suddenly changed his mind and asked Su Che, "Did you bring your phone?" "Yes," Su Che answered calmly. "Take it out and call your big CEO. Tell him where we are and ask him to come down and pick you up. We'll wait for him here." Feng Chang leaned against the wall and did not move. He looked up and down, occupying the most advantageous position. Su Che put down his right hand and took out his phone from his pocket. Then, He dialed Xing Zhao's number in front of Feng Chang. Hello? Su Che? President, I was kidnapped by Feng Chang. I'm on the 27th floor now. Feng Chang wants to see you, Su Che said calmly to Xing Zhao on the other end of the phone. I'll be right there. With that, Xing Zhao hung up. Are you satisfied now? Su Che hung up the phone and put it back into his pocket. What do you want? Settle the score with Shen Mei. She's my daughter, Feng Chang said coldly. Then you should go to the police station. Don't think that I don't know that the person who provided the police with the clues is Zhongting's little bride, Feng Chang said with a gangster's expression. Anyone who provokes me won't have an easy time. Soon, the sound of someone coming down the stairs could be heard. The atmosphere suddenly became tense. However, Feng Chang was very satisfied. His eyes flickered with pride. What big shot of Jinchuan. You still have to listen to my orders obediently. Don't worry. In a while, I'll send the two of you to hell. Behind the two of them, Tang Yan had already quietly peeked his head out. However, the position that Feng Chang occupied was too advantageous to him. Therefore, Tang Yan could not show himself, let alone approach. A moment later, Xing Zhao, who was wearing a windbreaker, walked down the stairs. When he saw such a scene, he did not panic at all. Raise your hands. When Feng Chang saw Xing Zhao, he shouted sternly, otherwise, I'll make your little assistant's brain explode. You've been hiding for so many days. I thought you were going to fly a plane and crash it into Zhongting's building. I didn't expect you to be so shabby. Xing Zhao stood beside Su Che, but he did not raise his hand. Cut the crap. Since you're going to shoot in the end, why should I raise my hand? Xing Zhao asked Feng Chang. Don't think that I won't dare to shoot. Listen, the elevator outside has been opening and closing. Many police officers have come. At this moment, they're searching for you everywhere. If you don't shoot and kill us, how are you going to break even? Xing Zhao leaned against the armrest and asked Feng Chang. Moreover, if you hesitate for one more second, the police will have a chance to find you. Xing Zhao, don't lie to me. Do you think I don't know your tricks? You're not qualified to provoke me and make me lose my composure. Since you've tricked me down, you have to do something, right? Am I wrong? You don't plan to kill us? I told you, my goal is your woman. As long as you hand over your woman, perhaps I can let you go. Feng Chang held the gun and walked between the two of them. Then you'd better take my life. Be more direct, Xing Zhao answered Feng Chang without hesitation. Feng Chang was distracted by Xing Zhao and had already neglected the surveillance downstairs. At that moment, Xing Zhao suddenly kicked Su Che's foot. Feng Chang immediately roared, "Don't move. Do you still want your life?" At this critical moment, Tang Yan took a step up the stairs and fired a shot at Feng Chang's arm. He heard the sound of the gun falling to the ground. Feng Chang wanted to reach out to pick it up, but Xing Zhao kicked him downstairs. Feng Chang was shocked. He turned around and wanted to escape, but Tang Yan pounced on him and pressed him to the ground. Then, Tang Yan took out the shackles from his pants pocket and cuffed Feng Chang. "I'll bring you to justice now, you murderous demon. Officer Tang, do you think you've won?" With that, Feng Chang took out a switch from his pocket. They heard a beep and were shocked. They should have known that this old thing had something hidden on him. At that moment, it was 11:30 p.m. There was still half an hour before Xing Zhao's return time. Mu Qiqi looked at the time anxiously as she paced back and forth in the living room until Su Che called. He told her that Xing Zhao, Tang Yan, and herself were all in the hospital. When Mu Qiqi heard this, her expression changed. She quickly begged Papa Sheng. "Dad, send us to the hospital. Xiao Xiao is in the hospital." Seeing that Mu Qiqi was about to cry, Papa Sheng could not refuse. "Let's go. Go upstairs and get dressed first." Mu Chichi was so anxious that her clothes were in a mess. Then, she quickly went downstairs. Feng Shanshan handed the child to Mama Sheng and followed her to the hospital. The feelings of the two women were complicated. Chapter 973. Soon, the two of them were sent to the hospital. It was fine for Feng Shanshan. After all, she had already given birth and her body was light. However, Mu Chichi was heavy to begin with. She had to force herself to walk, which scared Papa Sheng. Xiao Qi, slow down. Mu Chichi looked for the emergency department and the emergency ward. Finally, she saw the three men in the doctor's office. At that moment, the doctor was bandaging the wound on the back of Xing Zhao's hand. Tang Yan and Su Che had also suffered some minor injuries, but none of them were serious. However, Feng Chang had exploded on the spot. His body was a bloody mess. At the moment of the explosion, Tang Yan had thrown Feng Chang down the stairs. Therefore, although there had been an explosion, the three of them were not affected. Sob. I finally found you. Mu Chichi immediately pounced on him. Her body went limp and she almost knelt in front of Xing Xiao. Xing Xiao quickly used his injured hand to catch her. Why are you in such a hurry? We're already in the hospital. How can I not be anxious? Mu Chichi held her stomach and started crying. I thought you were sent to the operating theater and were being resuscitated. Xing Xiao turned to look at Su Che. Su Che turned to look at the door. He was also very innocent, okay? Because his young madam did not give him a chance to say the next sentence. This is the only injury. Xing Xiao freed one of his hands to show her. Hurry up and get up. You're so heavy. Mu Chichi seemed worried. She checked her body again and nodded. It's fine. It's really fine. It turned out that when things were in chaos, they would cry like a child. Thinking of this, Xing Xiao hugged her and walked out of the doctor's office. Let's go home, but your injury. Feng Shanshan stood at the door. Seeing that they could still talk and laugh, she felt that this was a dream. Tang Yan turned around and saw Feng Shanshan behind him. He smiled at her forcefully and gestured to her that his foot was only slightly injured. However, Feng Shanshan still pounced on him and hit and scolded him. Wasn't this pair a little too mushy? Now, Su Che was the only one left in the office. The doctor on duty crossed his arms and looked at him. How old are you? Why are you fighting like those two just now? Don't your parents care? Su Che looked around and confirmed that the doctor was talking about him. Then, he took out his identification and handed it to the doctor. When the female doctor saw this, she immediately felt a little embarrassed. I couldn't tell at all. You're really good at retaining your youthful looks. Hee hee. You have a girlfriend coming to pick you up too? Su Che shook his head and handed his hand to the doctor. Bandage it for me. Okay. The female doctor asked Su Che to sit down. After the wounds were bandaged, the few of them left the hospital. Because Tang Yan still had to deal with the aftermath, he handed Feng Shanshan over to Mu Chichi and Mu Chichi. I'll come pick them up tomorrow morning. There were tears in Feng Shanshan's eyes. She quickly said, I'll go with you. The baby will look for you when he's hungry. Be obedient. Now that Feng Chang is dead, the danger has been resolved. Tang Yan insisted on not letting her follow. Feng Shanshan had no choice but to give up. It was just that she might not be able to see this man again tonight. Zhongting exploded and Feng Chang died. The police were doing further work to deal with the aftermath. Of course, because Zhongting had surveillance cameras, Feng Chang's death could be directly handed over to the police station to be summarized and the case could be closed. Such a ruthless bandit is simply perverted. He caused so much trouble, but he ended up without a corpse left. He really deserved it. Officer Long cursed as he collected Feng Chang's body tissues. How many days have we not slept because of him? Clean up early and restore this place to its original state. Enchanting's employees still have to work tomorrow. Do you have the cheek to let the female employees come in and see Feng Chang's charred body tissues? It's better not to. I can't bear the responsibility of scaring those ladies. The police and the forensics team were working hard to clean up the scene. The explosives that Su Che had collected were all handed over to the police. Captain Tang, let's talk in private. Why didn't you deal with the father and son from the Song family? How are they? Tang Yen was busy. At this time, he had no time to care about the two of them. The father has done all sorts of bad things, but he's actually safe and sound. On the other hand, his son, Song Buji, had his right leg amputated. He'll have to spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair. Officer Long clicked his tongue. That's quite a pity. Tang Yen sighed. Although he was a criminal police officer, he really hated the father and son from the Song family. Now that Feng Chang was dead, the Song family would not be so easily dealt with. If Feng Chang was captured alive, Song Jiang would not be able to escape sooner or later. It was 1:00 in the morning. The few of them returned from the hospital in a sorry state. As soon as they reached home, Xing Xiao said to his parents, "It's fine. It's just a minor injury. The police at Enchanting know how to deal with the aftermath. Don't worry." Mama Xing handed the child to Feng Shanshan and glared at him. "Who cares if you're dead or alive? Look at how scared you've scared Chi-Chi. Comfort her well." Xing Xiao smiled. He was handsome. Even though he was in a sorry state, it did not affect his heroic spirit. "Let's go back to the room." Before Mu Chi-Chi could recover from her fear, Xing Xiao had already brought her upstairs. After returning to the room, Xing Xiao took off his coat. Mu Chi-Chi immediately reacted. "I'll go to the bathroom to turn on the water for you." Xing Xiao reached out to stop her and pressed her shoulder. "There's no need. I'll go myself." "You can't touch." Before she could say the word water, Xing Xiao's kiss had already fallen. At first, he knew how to restrain his gentleness, but gradually, the desire in his heart was aroused. If Mu Chi-Chi was not pregnant, he might have already taken action. This place has become a lot bigger. After the passionate kiss, Xing Xiao hugged Mu Chi-Chi and teased her. "You're still in the mood to talk about this? What happened tonight? Why are you all injured? Where's Feng Chang?" Xing Xiao tidied up his shirt as he answered Mu Chi-Chi, "He's dead. He was blown to pieces. In the future, he won't be able to cause trouble for us anymore." "Really?" Mu Chi-Chi was doubtful. "Are you lying to me? If there really was an explosion, you wouldn't have been able to escape unscathed." "I'm really not lying to you this time." With that, Xing Xiao sat on the sofa and pulled the little thing onto his lap. "When I saw you crying just now, I felt that I wasn't fit to be your husband." "Nonsense." Mu Chi-Chi quickly covered his mouth. "There's no one in the world who loves me more than you do." The two of them hugged quietly for a while. Then, Xing Xiao suddenly asked Mu Chi-Chi, "Your birthday is coming up. What's your wish this time?" Chapter 974. No matter how energetic Song Jiang is, it's impossible for him to cause trouble right after the explosion in the Song family. Besides, we have to investigate Feng Chang's matter. Song Jiang has to know how to restrain himself. Xing Xiao pointed at Mu Chi-Chi's nose and asked, "Do you understand?" Song Jiang brought this upon himself. He ruined both his son and daughter. If I were him, I would commit seppuku. This was just Mu Chi-Chi's one-sided thought. Song Jiang never thought so. Even if Song Buji's right leg was gone this time, he still believed that on the road to revenge, how could there not be some sacrifices? A person like Song Jiang stirred up trouble in the name of revenge. For the sake of his own power and desire, he ignored human lives. He didn't even let go of his own children. I really don't believe that he will end up well. If you don't believe me, then don't believe me. You should at least let me take a bath first, right? After Mu Qiqi heard this, she got up from Xing Zhao's lap. Without Feng Chang, she should be able to sleep peacefully tonight. Jianshuan Hospital, the next morning. Song Buji had been unconscious on the bed after the amputation. He had only just woken up now. When he opened his eyes, the first person he saw was not his father, Song Jiang, but his sister, Song Qiaoji, who he had looked down on in the past. She was wearing a white coat and was making ward rounds with the surgeon. "Brother, you're awake?" Song Buji opened his mouth, but he could not say anything. Song Qiaoji quickly put down the medical records and moistened his lips. Only then did Song Buji feel that his throat had improved. Why can't I move?" Song Qiaoji stood up straight and saw that his right leg was empty. She did not know what to say. Song Buji was very smart. Looking at her expression, he knew that things wouldn't be so simple. So, he used all his strength to prop up his head and saw his lower body. Then, he widened his eyes and fell to the ground, unable to accept what had happened. "My leg? Brother, don't be like this. Technology is so advanced now. You can still stand up and walk in the future, just without your right leg. Only the right leg is missing?" Song Buji almost went crazy when he got an affirmative answer. "What's the difference between me and a cripple now? Brother, don't be like this. Where's Dad? Where's Dad?" Song Buji looked around. "I don't know, I haven't seen him, but I know he's fine." Song Qiaoji replied patiently. "Feng Chang's matter is quite big now. Perhaps he went back to take charge of the overall situation." After Song Buji heard this, his face was expressionless. He only sneered. "Go. Don't come to see me again. Big brother, you're the daughter-in-law of the Xing family now. Why do you still have to call me big brother? Moreover, is there such a disabled big brother like me? I'm not your big brother. I've always looked down on you. Don't flatter yourself." Song Qiaoji knew how strong Song Buji's pride was, so she did not force him. She was an obstetrician and had come purely to know if there was anything she could help with. She knew very well that their father was a complete beast. However, seeing how uncomfortable Song Buji was, Song Qiaoji could only sigh and walk out of Song Buji's ward with the other doctors. Song Buji could not accept the pain of losing his right leg, so he picked up the phone on the bedside table with difficulty and called Song Jiang. Due to the explosion, the screen of the phone was shattered. However, he called 3 times in a row, but Song Jiang did not pick up. On the last call, Song Jiang's urgent voice was heard. "Son, you're awake?" "I'm awake." "Where are you?" "I'm at home. Yeshang Group is in a mess now. You're injured, so someone has to take charge of the overall situation, right? So, now that your son has lost his right leg, you can immediately go back to work as if nothing happened?" Song Buji found it unbelievable. "Otherwise, my 20 years of hard work will all be destroyed in one day. I'm not talking to you anymore. Have a good rest." With that, Song Jiang hung up. This was completely different from the father who usually cared about him. Song Buji even felt that what he had lost might not be his leg, but Song Jiang's love. Yes, a son without a leg was like a broken chess piece. He was not as useful as before. But who gave him this? For a moment, Song Buji really wanted to call the police. He really wanted to die together with Song Jiang. However, after thinking about it carefully, he felt that it was not worth it. If he had to die, he should let that old man die by himself. That afternoon, the television news used 10 minutes to report on Feng Chang's arrest. In short, he had been blown into minced meat. However, Feng Chang was very involved, especially when he caused trouble in Zhongtong. It was simply beyond the imagination of the audience. This person was not only cruel, but also brainless. Zhongtong also issued an announcement that there were no casualties in cooperating with the police to arrest Feng Chang. Moreover, Enchanting had also returned to normal operations. The police announced that they had solved the case, including the previous Lu Zhao case and the 2 subsequent explosions. However, it was a pity that the bureau chief did not manage to catch him alive and clean up Song Jiang. In the Jianchuan branch office, the bureau chief stood in front of his desk with his hands on his hips and said to Tang Yan, "You've suffered a lot in this operation to arrest Feng Chang. Your house and your newborn son are all waiting for you to settle down. I'll give you a week off. The people from the 9th Division aren't going to investigate further? If we follow Feng Chang's lead, we can follow the clues. It's only a matter of time before we find Song Jiang." Tang Yan felt indignant. After all, Feng Chang was someone the Song family had provoked. No one could guarantee that Song Jiang would be obedient. The people from the 9th Division know their limits. You just need to take your leave. The director waved his hand. He couldn't care less about what would happen later. The problem of the Song family couldn't be removed overnight. "Yes, Chief." Tang Yan bowed to the bureau chief and was about to leave the office. However, when he reached the door, he was stopped by the bureau chief. "Tang Yan, this time, the higher-ups intend to promote someone to be the deputy bureau chief. I have high hopes for you. You're already in your 30s. Leave the front lines to the newcomers. It's time for you to sit at the back and be the commander. Your son has just been born. You have to think about your son." If it were in the past, Tang Yan would definitely refuse. He was not suitable for officialdom. Moreover, he liked to investigate cases freely on the front lines. However, this time was different. "Thank you for your trust, Chief." Chapter 975. He had heard of Lin Mu'an. Whether he was a good seedling or not, they would know once they met. In the afternoon, Tang Yan went to the banyan courtyard to pick up Feng Shanshan and her son. It was just that their nest had been blown into a terrible state. So, Tang Yan decided to bring Feng Shanshan and his son to stay at Professor Tang's house for a few days. When the house was repaired, he would bring his wife and son back to their place. "Why are you leaving?" "Even if there are 2 more people, the banyan courtyard can still accommodate them." Mama Sheng asked the family of 3 to stay. She felt that the more people there were, the livelier it would be, and it would be more convenient for 5th Aunt to take care of them. However, Feng Shanshan and her husband still knew their limits. They were already disturbing enough, and it was not appropriate for them to stay any longer. "Auntie, thank you very much for this period of time. However, I'm really sorry to disturb you any longer." Feng Shanshan hugged the child and said to Mama Sheng apologetically, "We'll visit you often in the future." "If that's the case, then all right." Mama Sheng did not continue to insist and sent the family of 3 out of the banyan courtyard. Tang Yan held his son in one hand and his wife in the other. The 3 of them did not have any luggage. "Following me, you've really suffered." "I don't think this is suffering." Feng Shanshan hugged his arm and smiled. "In the past, when I was alone, I only wanted freedom. I felt that relationships and family were burdens. But now, with you and a child, I can understand how precious it is for a family to be safe and happy together." Tang Yan hugged his son with one hand and her with the other. "So, I want to tell you a piece of good news. The director is going to make me the deputy director. I want to give you and your son a more stable life. I want to hire a nanny to help you, so I agreed. When our son is a little older, I hope that you will be able to complete your dreams and things that you haven't completed in the past. I don't want you to give up your life just to take care of the child and me." Feng Shanshan's eyes turned red. "Should I congratulate you in advance?" Deputy Commissioner Tang. "Fool." The family of 3 went to Professor Tang's house. He had just returned home after being hospitalized for surgery. However, being able to see his nephew's happiness, Professor Tang felt that he had no regrets in this life. 3 days after Feng Chang's case, Jianchuan gradually returned to peace. Because of Feng Chang, the Song family was now in a state of disunity. Even if Song Jiang wanted to forcefully turn things around, with the pressure from the Liu family, he still felt that it was extremely difficult. After playing for so long, he did not get anything. Instead, he lost his children and even damaged the foundation of Yeshang Group. Just thinking about it, Song Jiang also felt uncomfortable. At this moment, Song Buji had been lying in the hospital for 3 days, but as his father, he did not dare to look at him. He understood his son's character, but there was nothing he could do now. Song Buji was already crippled. To him, he was a burden. He did not need his crippled son now because it would hinder him from seeking revenge on the Shen family. Although it was said to be revenge, the Shen family did not show up from the beginning to the end. Because Xing Xiao alone could stop an entire army. According to the current decline of the Song family, if they continue to fight with Xing Xiao, the Song family might not last until the beginning of next year. Therefore, he decided to continue following up on Deputy Liang. After all, he had done so much for Deputy Liang. As for Yeshang Group, there was also the American finance industry. Now that Song Buji was in such a situation, he planned to find a professional to supervise and manage the funds in order to preserve his last bit of strength in order to fight Xing Xiao. However, what Song Jiang did not expect was that Song Buji had disappeared from the hospital. It was the nurse who found out that he was missing and called him to confirm his whereabouts. It was only then that Song Jiang realized that Song Buji had been planning to escape for the past 3 days. Song Jiang went to the hospital to go through the procedures and bumped into Song Qiaoji. When the father and daughter met again, they were enemies. Originally, Song Qiaoji had nothing to say to Song Jiang. However, just as the two of them brushed past each other, Song Jiang suddenly pulled her back. "Did you hide your brother?" Song Qiaoji pushed Song Jiang's hand away and replied, "I always thought that even if you didn't care about us daughters, you would always care about my brother, your son. However, from the fact that you didn't come once during the 4 days he was hospitalized, I understand that his position in your heart is actually similar to mine. He's just a pawn. He knows it in his heart, so he made his own choice. Since you don't care about his life or death, why are you still putting on an act? Mr. Song, take care." After saying that, Song Qiaoji bypassed Song Jiang without hesitation. Song Buji would definitely return, but at that time, he would definitely not be a pawn in Song Jiang's hands. As Xing Xiao had expected, the Song family didn't even have time to deal with him now. It was impossible for them to cause any new trouble. Even if Song Jiang had the energy, he didn't have the ability. Yeshang Group was now being suppressed by the old education industry in Jianchuan. As for Song Buji, just like the rumors, he disappeared from Jianchuan. He didn't care about the life and death of Yeshang Group at all. As a result, Yeshang Group announced its delisting, and a new team took over the subsequent operations. This indirectly explains Song Jiang's current predicament. On the other side, Tang Yan's promotion was put on the agenda. Actually, according to his qualifications, he was more than qualified to be the deputy chief. It was just that he had always been arrogant and unruly. Now that he had a wife and child, he put away his thoughts of being a prodigal son and wanted to give his wife and child the best family atmosphere. A month later, the trainee police officers had to report to the police station. The chief asked him to guide the newcomers. He wasn't interested in anything else, but he wanted to have a good look at Lin Muwen. Ever since Feng Chang and Song Jiang stopped causing trouble, life seemed to have suddenly returned to its former calm. Mu Qiqi was still at home, focused on giving birth. In order to spend more time with the little one, Xing Xiao not only threw away his work at Huangyao, but also gave half of Zhongting's work to Shen Jianchuan. Shen Jianchuan was such a considerate father-in-law. Knowing that his daughter couldn't leave her son-in-law, he took the initiative to volunteer. After passing the board of directors' resolution, he became one of the vice presidents of Zhongting. Therefore, Xing Xiao only worked half a day now. The rest of the time, he could accompany Mu Qiqi at home to tell stories, do prenatal education, and even pick out clothes for the child and decorate the baby's room. Sometimes, even he himself would be in a daze. He had never thought that he would have such a day when he would do things himself. He was so meticulous that he massaged the little one's feet and went to the bathroom to put on a non-slip mat. If outsiders knew that Xing Xiao, who was so famous in Jianchuan, was a slave to his wife at home, who knew how many people would be shocked? Thinking about it, Xing Xiao sighed, but he still took the little one's favorite fruit upstairs. Chapter 976. When Mu Qiqi was 9 months pregnant, she rarely went out. However, she would still go with Xing Xiao to some training courses for new parents. However, it was very strange. Mu Qiqi was clearly a medical student, but when it came to parenting, she could embody the characteristics of a science student. Xing Xiao could learn many things in one go, but she always had to learn it several times. Was she really stupider than Xing Xiao? Whether it was dressing the child, giving the child diapers, or even bathing the child, she could embody the clumsiness of a science student. Why can't I learn it? Xing Xiao helped her sit down. When the child is born, there's no room for you to hold it. Mom and fifth aunt at home, second aunt and old master Shen at the Shen family, and a lot of people from the Xing family. Do you think you can hold the child? If I can't hold my child, what's the point of giving birth? Sit well and wait for your confinement. What you're saying is that everyone will like the child and won't care about me. Xing Xiao had a deep understanding of a woman in the late stages of pregnancy. If you didn't pay attention to your words, you might be misinterpreted by this thing, just like now. What I mean is that everyone will help you share the burden. You're only in your early 20s. You have to recover and recuperate well. That's more like it. Mu Qiqi was satisfied. She sat on the sofa and watched Xing Xiao quickly revise and dress the baby again. Recently, the baby had been moving very fast. She didn't know if it was because fifth aunt had fed it too much, but Mu Qiqi had a feeling that the naughty child would come out early before the due date. With the careful care of her family, she was naturally not worried that no one would take care of the baby after it was born. She was just simply afraid of giving birth, whether it was a natural birth or a cesarean section. Even if it was painless now, it would still be hell a month after giving birth. Although when she was dissecting, her hand raised the knife and cut open the belly of others, it was just a matter of an instant, but the feeling of the object lying in the hospital bed, that kind of feeling, made her continuously begin to start to feel cold. Back then, she was the one who insisted on having the baby because Xing Xiao was in his early 30s. The children of his age were already in primary school. If she really waited until she was 26, wouldn't Master Xiao be an old man? The two of them had been together for so many years, and he had always been the one doing everything for her behind the scenes. Other than making some small things, she had never done anything for him, so this child was her ultimate gift. It was snowing in Jianchuan when he returned home at night. Mu Qiqi looked at the snowflakes outside in disbelief. After returning home, she drank the chicken soup that fifth aunt had made. Not long after lying down, she felt that something was wrong. Xiao Xiao, it hurts. It hurts for a while. The baby should be born early. Xing Xiao had just sat down when he heard her shout. He quickly got up. I'll contact the hospital right away. Mu Qiqi nodded repeatedly. Xing Xiao quickly went downstairs and told Papa Sheng to drive. The whole family changed their clothes and took their things. Then, they hurriedly sent the little one to the hospital. Because it was her first labor, the labor pain lasted for a long time. Therefore, after Mu Qiqi entered the hospital, the pain continued for several hours. However, because she was accompanied by the whole family and Xing Xiao was by her side, Mu Qiqi felt that it was not that difficult to endure. At 5:00 in the morning, Mu Qiqi's labor pain was shortened to about 5 minutes. After the midwife checked, she said to Mama Sheng and the others, "Now, we'll send the patient to the delivery room." Although family members can accompany her, in order not to cause the patient to be nervous, only one of you can stay with her. It's best if it's the husband. As the pain intensified, Muchichi knew that the baby was about to come out. So, she reminded herself to conserve her strength. Otherwise, it would be very difficult for her to give birth naturally. Eighth brother, accompany Xiao-Qi inside. She's risking her life for you, Mama Xing said as she patted Xing Xiao's shoulder. Xing Xiao was not wearing a suit and leather shoes at the moment. Because he was in a hurry, he was only wearing a dark blue turtleneck sweater. Hearing the little one's cries in the delivery room, his heart tightened. He quickly went to do a sterile treatment and then followed the nurse into the delivery room. Because of the pain, Muchichi's body was already covered in layers of sweat. Xing Xiao sat beside Muchichi and wrapped his arm around her head. It really hurts. Just bite my arm. Sob, I don't want you to see me so ugly here. Muchichi was a little resistant. I've seen all your ugly looks. Only this time, you're not ugly at all, Xing Xiao said in a low voice. Do you want to know when I fell in love with you? Muchichi's attention was indeed attracted by this topic. The first time, in the hospital in the town, you took off my pants. Do you remember? At that time, I was injured and unconscious. I saw you in my half-asleep state. I thought to myself that this thing's guts were really fat. From then on, I remembered you. When I heard that you were sold by my uncle, my first reaction was that you touched my body, so you were mine. No one could sell my things. After that, I just fell deeper and deeper. After Muchichi heard this, she completely forgot to record the frequency of the labor pain. She quickly asked, then when I had a crush on you, did you already like me? What do you think? You're too cunning. Muchichi endured the pain and glared at him. But I'm just a little girl. Being abandoned and schemed against doesn't suit you at all. Why do you like me? This. Who knows? Liking is liking. I never go against my heart. Xing Xiao played with her sweaty hair. After I give birth to the baby, next year, will you take me skiing abroad and take me to see the aurora? As long as you want to go, I'll accompany you wherever you go. It had been a long time since the doctors and nurses in the delivery room had seen such a warm scene. Of course, they also knew who the person who was giving birth was, and who the person accompanying the delivery was. Outside the delivery room, Mama Sheng and the others paced back and forth. Why hasn't she given birth yet? She's been in there for 2 hours. Madam, don't worry. Eighth brother is inside. He'll take care of Xiao-Qi's emotions, Papa Xing quickly comforted. You men don't understand. Mama Xing sat on the chair nervously and sighed. Poor Xiao-Qi, madam, don't worry. Our whole family is with Xiao-Qi. How could Mama Xing listen to her now? Although eighth brother was inside, she knew how dangerous it was for women to give birth. Half an hour later, Muchichi and Xing Xiao's first baby was finally born. Chapter 977. Muchichi exhausted all her strength and lay on the bed. The moment the child was born, she felt as if her soul was about to leave her body. Her entire person had sublimated. She was a mother. The man beside her held Muchichi's hand tightly. When he knew that the child was born, he did not go to see the child immediately. He only said in Muchichi's ear, in the future, don't even think about having another child. I won't allow it. We just need a daughter. Also, congratulations, little one. You're a mother now. Muchichi tilted her head to look at Xing Xiao. She was extremely tired, but she could clearly see that the man's eyes were red. It was his sincere love for her. Congratulations, Mr. Sheng. You're a father now. Do you want to hug the child? After the doctor was done with the baby, he asked the nurse to wrap her up. No need. Please carry her out. I just want to accompany my big baby now. Xing Xiao lowered his head and kissed Muchichi's head. There's sweat, there's a smell. I don't mind. I'll never mind. Therefore, neither of them had seen their daughter for the first time. The nurse carried the baby out of the delivery room. The first person to lean on was naturally Mama Sheng. "Oh, my little darling. I'm your grandma." The nurse was amused by Mama Sheng's expression and quickly said, "The baby is very healthy. He cries very loudly. It's been a long time since I've seen such a beautiful baby. Although he was born prematurely, he doesn't lose out to full-term babies at all." "Thank you, nurse. How's the child's mother?" "Don't worry. She's very brave and in good condition. She's just too tired." The nurse smiled and turned to return to the delivery room. Not long after, Muchichi was sent out of the delivery room. Mama Sheng quickly went up and looked at Muchichi with heartache. "Xiao Qi, rest well. It's been hard on you." Muchichi smiled tiredly and then lost consciousness. Xing Xiao followed her the entire time and did not close his eyes. It was as if that little thing would always occupy the most place in his heart. No one could put anything else in it. "Eighth brother, Xiao Qi is asleep. Hurry up and see your daughter." Xing Xiao sat by the bed and ignored Mama Xing's shouts. He could not forget the entire process of the little thing giving birth. "Mom, let me accompany her quietly for a while." Mama Xing could understand her son's feelings for Xiao Qi, so she said, "Okay, I'll take the baby out first. However, the baby needs to be fed later." The sky soon brightened. It was a night worth remembering for the Xing family. After that, the old men of the Sheng and Shen families were quickly informed about Muchichi's labor. The two old men were overjoyed. Even though old Sheng was still sick, he couldn't care less. He asked Xing Kai to drive him to the hospital. Muchichi woke up after sleeping for 2 hours. She had recovered a lot, but all kinds of postpartum pain came as expected. She only saw her and Xiao Xiao's daughter 2 hours later. Because she needed to feed him, she carefully held him in her arms. At this time, Mama Xing leaned her arm against her. "The child has tortured you for so long. Eighth brother is so angry that he still refuses to hold his daughter. Mommy, maybe Xiao Xiao is still not used to the change of identity. He's my son. I know him better than anyone. In his heart, even if his daughter is born, he will still love you the most," Mama Xing said with a smile. "By the way, who will name the baby?" "Xiao Xiao said before that he would let my grandfather do it." Muchichi lowered her head and looked at the little one who was drinking milk. She revealed a very different smile. "It seems that you can't be called Xing Badian." A moment later, Xing Xiao returned from the bathroom and saw that the little one was breastfeeding. He asked Fifth Aunt if the chicken soup for Muchichi's body had been heated up. Muchichi glanced at the baby and then at Xing Xiao. "Xiao Xiao. Hold your daughter. I want to see you hold your daughter." Xing Xiao glanced at her and sighed. Then, he walked to her side and took the little girl in the swaddling clothes. Muchichi's eyes turned red when she saw this scene. "I finally got what I wanted. Are you hungry?" Xing Xiao was holding his daughter in his arms, but he was still worried about her. "I'm not hungry." Muchichi felt warm but helpless. Was this man really necessary? Soon, the two old men rushed over, and the ward became lively all of a sudden. "Where is my great-granddaughter? Let me see. Let me go first, let me go first." The two old men started arguing. At this moment, Muchichi coughed softly. The group of people were naturally chased out of the ward. At the door of the room, Shen Jianchuan poked his head out. When everyone was fighting to see the child, as a father, the first thing he thought of was his daughter. "Daddy, are you all right?" Shen Jianchuan touched her palm and was relieved when he found that it was warm. "Don't worry, I'm fine. Don't you know what your son-in-law is like?" Muchichi gestured at the man beside her with her chin. "If he didn't dote on you so much, I wouldn't have agreed to you having a child at such a young age." Shen Jianchuan snorted. "If your mommy was still here, she would be gratified to see this scene, wouldn't she?" Daddy, I'm already a grandfather. I can't stand it if you're like this. Shen Jianchuan patted the back of Mu Qiqi's hand and felt comforted. Recover well. You can't be careless during your confinement. Don't worry. If I'm not feeling well, your son-in-law will definitely be the first to find out. Mu Qiqi looked at Xing Zhao's sullen face and burst out laughing. Then have a good rest. Daddy will go out. Go and see your granddaughter. Shen Jianchuan nodded. When he left, he closed the door. When Mu Qiqi saw this, she quickly grabbed Xing Zhao's hand and said, "How can a father be angry with his own daughter like this?" Xing Zhao sat by Mu Qiqi's window and held her hand. Just pretend that I'm sick. My daughter is a piece of flesh that fell from your body, but you are my flesh. Even if you hurt me, my heart will be pierced. I can't do anything about you. I just don't know what Grandpa will name his daughter. Outside the door, it was really lively. If not for the fact that this was a top-notch obstetrics hospital and a suite, who would allow a group of people to snatch the child here? It wasn't easy for old Master Sheng to hold the child for a few minutes. Before he could get addicted, old Master Shen took him over. The little girl was not shy at all. She opened her small eyes that had yet to open and looked at the group of strange old people. Old Master Shen, Qiqi said that you still have to give the little girl a name. Please give her a name. At this moment, Mama Xing suddenly said to Old Master Shen. However, Old Master Sheng was not convinced. I want to give her a name too. How about this? Old Master Shen will give her a name. Dad, you give her a nickname. The two old men glanced at each other and were satisfied with the result. Chapter 978. I've already given little Bao a name. Old Master Shen looked at the little cutie in his arms and said happily, let's call her Xing Qingwan. She's generous and ladylike. In the future, she'll definitely be Mom and Dad's little cotton-padded jacket. Don't be like your mother, who holds a scalpel all day long. The older generation cared about the meaning of their names. Old Master Sheng was satisfied with this name. At least she has some standards. Since I have a name, I'll give her a nickname. Let's call her An. It's simpler. I hope she can be safe all the time. Just like that, the two old men decided on their daughter's name. It seemed that Mu Qiqi did not give birth to her and Xing Zhao's daughter. Instead, she gave birth to a daughter for everyone. This was because after her daughter was born, she really did not hug her other than when she was breastfeeding. There were people who rushed to check up on the child, change diapers, and put on clothes. It was no wonder that Xing Xiao had told her not to study so carefully. However, Xing Xiao was happy to see this result. All in all, the ward was bustling with activity for 3 consecutive days after the child was born. Feng Shanshan only came to see Mu Qiqi after settling her son down 3 days later. Are you feeling okay? Feng Shanshan saw her sitting on the bed and could not help but ask, do you feel like you want to sleep even when you're standing? Of course. You should be content. Other than breastfeeding, everything else is already very easy with your family around. Feng Shanshan pushed her head enviously. We have 2 lives. But you don't think you're working hard at all, do you? Because she had given birth to the child of the man they loved, that kind of happiness filled the hearts of the 2 women at all times. Didn't you get what you wanted now? It was not easy for her to see her daughter sleeping soundly in her arms. Mu Qiqi was indeed very satisfied because it was too magical. This child had her and Xiao Zhao's blood flowing in her body. It was no wonder that children were the link between parents. TSK, look at you smiling like that. Feng Shanshan could not stand it anymore. In addition, Xing Xiao had also entered the ward, so Feng Shanshan found an excuse to leave and left the space for the family of 3. Mommy and 5th aunt have gone back? Well, it's finally quiet. Xing Xiao took off his coat, hung it on the hanger, and walked to the mother and daughter. At that moment, Mu Qiqi coughed a few times. Xing Xiao put the blanket that he had prepared on Muchichi. I'm going to catch a cold. Who's the one feeling uncomfortable? Xiao Xiao, do you think our daughter looks more like you or me? It's natural for a daughter to be like her father, Xing Xiao answered as he hugged the mother and son. But I hope she's like you, this is our daughter. Muchichi smiled like a child because this was the scene she had been looking forward to for a long time. She was holding the child, and Xing Xiao was holding her. It was said that women would become gentle after giving birth, and that was indeed the case. Lean on me and sleep for a while. When the little thing wakes up, it will ask you for milk. Xing Xiao said in a low voice above her head. Although, I also want to try what it tastes like, indecent. Although Muchichi was scolding him, she still felt a strong sense of sleep in his arms. Xing Xiao tightened his grip at that. Especially when he looked at the woman in his arms. Because she had to feed the baby, she did not rest much. He wanted to call Mama Xing immediately and only feed this little thing formula in the future. That night, there was only the three of them in the hospital. Although they were tired, it was the same as Muchichi's dream life. In fact, she knew that Xing Xiao had less rest than her. When she was feeding, Xing Xiao had to help. When she was asleep, Xing Xiao had to take care of them. Thinking of this, she could not help hugging Xing Xiao's waist. You've lost weight these few days. Does your heart ache? Xing Xiao asked as he hugged her. Yes. My heart aches too. So, after you're discharged, I'll go for a vasectomy. He was determined not to have another child. One was enough. It was still snowing in Jianchuan at night. However, the Shin family was not ordinary tonight. Because no one expected that the second son of the Shin family would be taken away by the discipline inspection team in the evening. At that time, Grandpa Shen was eating at the Xing family's house. When Huang Yu saw this, she panicked. Could it be that her husband had really made a mistake? That was impossible. He had always been honest. Thinking of this, Huang Yu immediately went to Shin Jianchuan. Brother, I already know. Don't tell Dad about this for the time being. I'll use my connections to find out what exactly it is about. Shin Jianchuan comforted Huang Yu. It's useless for you to be anxious now. Okay, I'll calm down first. But my second son has always been well behaved. I don't believe he's that kind of person. Don't worry. I'll get to the bottom of it. So, after nightfall, Shin Jianchuan left the Shin family with his black hood on. Naturally, he believed in his brother. The other party must have known that Shao Qi had given birth and eighth brother had no time to deal with it. That was why he chose such an opportunity to deal with the Shin family. He did not know how second brother had fallen into the other party's trap. He had to get to the bottom of it first. Grandpa Shen was a guest at the Xing family. He had not received any news yet, but it would happen sooner or later. He hoped that it would not be too much of a shock to him. Thinking of this, Shin Jianchuan still gave Xing Xiao a call. Shao Qi, pay more attention to the safety of your mother and daughter. Your second uncle was taken away for questioning in the evening. I don't know what the Song family did. He's been taken away. It's been an hour. If something happens to second brother, someone from Zhongting might come to investigate. Be prepared. Don't worry about that. Zhongting can withstand any investigation. There was no financial relationship between Zhongting and the Shin family in the first place. Even if the outside world said that Zhongting had a close relationship with the Shin family, as long as Xing Xiao and the Shin family knew the truth of it. However, did Song Jiang choose to settle the score at this time because he knew that he had just received a daughter and was ready to fight? That would be underestimating him too much. After that, Xing Xiao gave Secretary He a call to understand the whole story. Xing Xiao, it's best if you don't interfere in this matter. Someone behind the scenes wants to touch the Shin family, so they've found an unorthodox way. However, you don't have to worry too much. After all, we all know that the Shin family can withstand the test. Let's wait and see. I understand. If there's anything I can do to help, I hope Secretary he will let me know. I'll be very grateful. What are you talking about? What kind of friendship do we have? However, I heard that sister-in-law has given birth. The other party probably wants to take the opportunity to cause trouble. No matter what, I'll congratulate you on becoming a father. Thank you, Secretary he. Xing Xiao put down his phone and looked at the mother and daughter who were still asleep. He turned around and looked out the window. This was the Song family's last battle, right? Because the Song family's funds could only support Song Jiang to this point. Chapter 979. The next morning, Mayor Shen returned home. Huang Yu saw that he was tired, so she quickly pulled him back into the room and said, "Don't let Dad see you. He doesn't know that you were taken away last night." Mayor Shen nodded and returned to his room to sit down. He held his wife's hand and said, "I'm sorry to have made you worry. What exactly is going on?" "Second bro, you didn't really go and do those." "No." Mayor Shen interrupted his wife. "Don't worry. Since they want to investigate, let them do it properly. The cause of this matter is that a few days ago, on the way to the office, I saved a pair of mother and daughter. When I interrogated them last night, I found out that the mother and daughter's identity is not simple. Then, someone deliberately set us up." Huang Yu became even more nervous when she heard this. This was the unorthodox way that Secretary he had mentioned. Mayor Shen had saved people he shouldn't have saved and made arrangements that he shouldn't have. What were the implications and benefits involved? Of course, the higher-ups had to investigate clearly. "Don't worry. I'm not afraid. It's just that eighth brother might have to suffer a little. Eighth brother called last night and told us not to worry. Enchanting is doing a proper business. Why don't you stop doing it? Anyway, Shenlin is already sensible. We don't lack anything. There's no need for you to work so hard outside. If you're not careful and get set up like this, what will happen if we lose you in the family?" Huang Yu had always been straightforward. But this time, she was really afraid. Her husband did not come back last night. She felt as if the sky had collapsed. Moreover, even if this kind of matter was investigated in the end, her reputation would be damaged. She would not be able to return to her original position. Don't make such a big deal out of it. Things haven't reached that stage yet. I know who the people behind this are. I also have friends. They will do their best to help me. Don't worry. No matter what, Big Brother and Eighth Brother are still here." Huang Yu thought about it carefully. She knew that it was useless to worry, so she stood up and turned on the water for her husband. "Take a good bath first and rest." "No, I have to go out. Otherwise, Dad will be suspicious. He will go to the hospital to see Xiaoqi later." "Don't worry." Mu Qiqi woke up in the morning and noticed Sheng Zhao's unusual behavior. He had been accompanying her in the hospital for the past few days. Her father was in charge of Enchanting's matters. However, since midnight, Mu Qiqi had received more calls. Although she was very tired, she knew what she was doing. Therefore, when fifth aunt came over, Mu Qiqi said to Xing Xiao, "If Enchanting has something, go. 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 I have so many people here. Are you afraid that you can't take care?" Xing Xiao put down the bowl of chicken soup and sat down beside Mu Qiqi. "I'm just afraid that they'll ignore your feelings. I'm not as weak as you think. I know I'm the one you love the most. Go, okay?" Xing Xiao sighed. While fifth aunt was packing the baby's things, he said to Mu Qiqi, "Something happened to the Shen family. Second uncle was taken away last night because the Song family set up a trap. Things are very tricky now. Although second uncle was sent back, he is currently suspended." When Mu Qiqi heard this, she immediately became nervous. So, the old man from the Song family took advantage of you being too busy to deal with him and being careless to attack second uncle? Second uncle is loyal and straightforward, so it's easy for others to take advantage of his weakness. Song Jiang, that old fox, is cunning. No wonder he fell into his trap. I'm not telling you this to make you worry. Everything the Shin family and I have done is to protect you. You have to believe that if Song Jiang wants to hurt anyone from the Shin family or the Xing family, he has to ask us first. So, you just need to recover in peace in the hospital. Leave everything else to the man, okay? After hearing Xing Zhao's words, Mu Qiqi suddenly laughed. As expected of a father. You're even putting on airs. I understand. I'm not worried. Go ahead. Xing Xiao got up and kissed Mu Qiqi's forehead. He did not look at the little one in her arms. He put on his coat and left the ward. Outside the door, Su Che had been waiting for a long time. A lot of people came early in the morning. The people from the finance department are dealing with them now. Give them whatever they want. Let them investigate as much as they want, Xing Xiao said to Su Che as he strode out of the hospital. Go to Huangyao now. Just as Xing Xiao was about to get into the car, he suddenly saw the man in a wheelchair in front of him. He was already missing his right leg. Xing Xiao suddenly closed the car door and quietly waited for the man to approach. Long time no see. CEO Sheng, you're a father now. Congratulations. It seems that CEO Song heard about the good show yesterday and rushed back eagerly, right? Whose side are you on now? Xing Xiao asked Song Buji. I don't think you and Song Jiang are still father and son. After all, after finding out that you were crippled, Song Jiang's first reaction was to abandon you. I'm here to take a look at the little bride. CEO Sheng won't be so stingy, right? Song Buji did not want to talk about Song Jiang with Xing Xiao at all. Just watch from afar. Don't disturb her. With that, Xing Xiao opened the car door again and got into his Bentley. Su Che looked at Song Buji from the rearview mirror and could not help but ask Xing Xiao, you're not letting me follow? There's no need. There are too many people in the ward. He won't have a chance to make a move. Moreover, Xing Xiao did not think that Song Buji was here to cause trouble. Song Buji watched the black Bentley pass by him and could not help but sneer. He hated Xing Xiao the most because he thought too highly of himself. However, Xing Zhao's guess was right. However, he did not come here to see Mu Qiqi. He came here to get a prosthetic leg. At the same time, he wanted to see how happy the little bride was now. The ward was indeed bustling with activity. People kept coming in and out. Song Buji glanced at the door, then turned to his nurse and said, let's go. It's a pity that Xing Xiao got to such an interesting and good woman first. She even has a child. If I met her first, Xing Xiao would have nothing to do with it. Since Mr. Song likes her, why don't you snatch her? A young woman is more attractive. What do you know? Song Buji shook his head. I can be ruthless to everyone and do some despicable things. Only the little bride looks the best when she smiles. In a man's life, there had to be a special woman. He couldn't get her, but he couldn't let her go. No one else would understand that feeling. It was good that he understood it. The person I want to settle the score with is that old thing, Song Jiang. I only found out a few days ago that that old thing has a son. Since he threw me away so casually, I can only do justice for the heavens. Chapter 980. Xing Xiao went to Huangyao. Because the Sheng and Shen families were old friends, their relationship had been very harmonious for the past few years. It was inevitable that they would be affected. However, the Xing family in Huangyao had been properly dealt with by Xing Kai. Even if Xing Xiao went over, there was nothing much he could do. Since you've done so well, I have nothing to worry about. Let's go. Xing Xiao put on his brown coat and black gloves. he was about to leave with Su Che. However, Shin Kai caught up to him and said, "Eighth brother, just take good care of the Shin family. Leave the Shin family to me." "Of course I'll leave it to you. Don't forget, I've already married into the Shin family." With that, the corners of Xing Zhao's lips curled up. There was a hint of relief in his smile. He could leave Huang Yao with peace of mind, a brand new Huang Yao. Now that the enemy was in front of them, it was fortunate that the Xing family was no longer in a state of disunity. As long as the family was united, it would be easy for them to overcome the difficulties. However, the matter did not hide it from old Master Shen for long. After all, he also had friends. When his old friends called him out of concern, he naturally knew that something had happened to second brother last night, but no one in the family told him. Thinking of this, old Master Shen returned home from the hospital and asked Huang Yu, "Where's your husband?" Huang Yu did not know that old Master Shen would be back so soon, so she stammered and could not answer. "Why didn't you tell me that something so big had happened?" Huang Yu was shocked. She knew that she could not hide it anymore, so she explained, "We were afraid that you would be worried. Call boss immediately and ask eighth brother to come over." Old Master Shen snorted angrily with his hands behind his back. "I'm not a persimmon. I'll go soft if someone pinches me." Huang Yu quickly did as she was told. After answering Shin Jinchuan's call, she called Xing Xiao and finally went to the room to wake her husband up. Then, the whole family of men held a meeting in the Shin family's living room. "Dad, it's my fault. I didn't do it well and let you down." "What did you do wrong? You want to apologize to me? You just saved someone. There's no need." The mother and daughter that Mayor Shin saved were economic criminals who were on the run. At that time, they were beaten up by a man on the street, and no one went up to help. Mayor Shin got out of the car to save them and asked his secretary to send them to the hospital. However, no one expected that the mother and daughter were arranged by Song Jiang, and there were many unknown secrets behind them. They were arranged by the secretary. If the police couldn't catch them, they would definitely think that they were involved or even accomplices. Old Master Shen sat on the chair and replied forcefully, "I should have expected that scumbag Song Jiang would choose this time to make his move. In the end, it's a grudge from more than 20 years ago. I should have settled it a long time ago. Second brother, your identity is very important right now. It's not convenient for you to go out. You should stay at home and wait for the investigation." "Boss, although I know you don't want me to negotiate with Song Jiang, I want to meet Song Jiang about this matter. I want to see that old bastard's face. After all, the person he hates the most is me. As for eighth brother, you've already been a shield for the Shin family many times. Don't charge into the fray anymore. You're also a father now. Above you, there's Jianchuan and me. I'm just old, but I'm not stupid. There's no need for you to leave me out of everything. Jianchuan, come out with me. These old bones haven't moved for too long. It's time for me to go out and meet my old friends." Shin Jianchuan understood what the old man meant. The higher-ups knew about what happened 25 years ago. Because of this matter, the Shin family was now in a state of chaos. At the end of the day, it wasn't that the old man couldn't handle such a small matter. It was just that Song Jiang's methods were too despicable and shameless. But no matter what, second brother had already suffered a loss in this matter. After the matter is investigated, second brother, you should make your own plans. Dad, you don't have to worry about me. I have a clear conscience. Mayor Shin didn't care about a villain at all. I don't regret the decision I made 25 years ago. I only regret that I didn't deal with that scumbag Song Jiang at the same time. That's why so many innocent lives were harmed. What a sin. Since the old man had come forward, Huang Yu's heart that was hanging in mid-air was no longer worried. She didn't care what her husband would do in the future. Since he was already at this age, why not retire and enjoy his blessings? However, to clear Mayor Shin's name, he had to start with the mother and daughter. Why couldn't the police find them? It was because Song Jiang had hidden himself. Of course, he had to let the professionals do it. Therefore, after leaving the Shin family, Xing Xiao called Tang Yan. He was no longer in charge of the front lines because he was now the deputy chief of the branch office. I wonder if Deputy Chief Tang has time to follow up on Song Jiang's case for the last time? Xing Xiao sat in the car, but his gaze was on the entrance of the branch office next to him. I got the news, Tang Yan answered Xing Xiao directly. He didn't beat around the bush. Publicly, Bai Sini's case hasn't been solved, so of course I'm concerned. Privately, I'm the Shin family's godson-in-law. I can't just stand by and do nothing when something happens to the Shin family. I know what you're looking for. I've already collected basic information about the mother and daughter. As long as they're in Jianchuan, they'll definitely be found. In terms of ability to find people, I trust you in all of Jianchuan. Xing Zhao's affirmation was extremely useful to Tang Yan. Therefore, he smiled and only said 4 words, wait for my news. The mother and daughter were the source of everything. They were also the key to sending Song Jiang to hell. After hanging up the phone, Tang Yan called Lin Mu-en, a trainee policeman, into his office. I have an errand for you. Please give me your instructions, Deputy Chief. Lin Mu-en was very convinced by Tang Yan. After all, his name was well known in the police world. Take a look for yourself. Tang Yan handed the information to Lin Mu-en. You're a newcomer. No one will notice you if you go out. I'll give you 1 day. If you make a breakthrough, I'll consider you qualified. Yes, sir. Lin Mu-en took the information and left Tang Yan's office. This was his first test as a trainee policeman. Tang Yan had given him the task of finding someone. Of course, when he was doing this, Tang Yan had already asked the chief. Back then, Bai Sini's cases had almost caused Old Cheng to lose his life. He still owed Old Cheng an explanation. The chief knew that he couldn't let it go, so he only gave him 3 days. Therefore, while Lin Mu-en went out to look for information, Tang Yan would personally disguise himself. After all, he had promised Xing Xiao that he would give him news as soon as possible. Song Jiang's time was up. However, it was unknown whether he would die in the hands of Xing Xiao and the others or his own son. Chapter 981. Song Jiang was indeed staking everything on one throw because he had already cut off all his escape routes. He did not care who would benefit from this, he just wanted the Shin family to not have peace. Therefore, he spread the news that second brother of the Shin family was suspended. Over the last few years, the Shin family and Zhongting had been relying on each other and flourishing in Jianchuan. Now that the Shin family was suddenly being investigated, wouldn't Zhongting be next? The outside world was discussing spiritedly, and the matter of the Shin family was spread to the ears. And in such a situation, no matter what the Shin family did, it would be magnified infinitely, and even people would casually spread rumors. How many mistresses did second brother Shin have? How many villas did he have? When these people spread the rumor, they even knew to add pictures. Their ability to fabricate stories was top-notch. Shen Lao was annoyed, but he couldn't defend himself. However, from Xing Zhao's point of view, Zhongting's public relations department and legal team were not to be trifled with. When Mu Qiqi saw the news in the hospital, she could not help but feel indignant for second uncle. However, they were in the eye of the storm now. Whoever spoke out would be beaten into a sieve by the keyboard warriors. This Song Jiang is really hateful. Mama Xing saw how angry she was and said, let Song Jiang be proud. In any case, he's already at the end of his rope. Mommy believes that justice is in the hearts of the people. The Shin family will surely get through this crisis safely. It's a pity that I'm not a man. If I were a man and Song Jiang stood in front of me, I would definitely beat him up to vent my hatred. Mu Qiqi hugged her precious daughter and snorted angrily. Mommy, why don't we leave the hospital and go home? We'll feel more at ease this way. You don't have the final say in this matter. The doctor has to say it. Mama Sheng looked at her and said. But I also want to do something within my power. She wanted to help find the whereabouts of the mother and daughter, so that she could prove second uncle's innocence as soon as possible. Your mission now is to recover well. Once you're out of confinement, I won't stop you wherever you want to go. Mu Chichi thought about it carefully. Of course, she comforted herself not to be willful. Besides, do you think it's so easy to get out of the hospital? Everyone knows that you gave birth to a daughter, and they are all waiting outside the hospital. Sigh. If I had known, I would have kept a low profile. As Mu Chichi sighed, the baby in her arms started crying. Mu Chichi quickly coaxed her. Isn't it Daddy's jacket, but not Mommy's? All right, little pitiful. Don't you have to cry. The Shin family was in a mess. Song. Song, song, song. He wanted to make the Shin family into a foul atmosphere and become notorious. That his years of planning would not be wasted. Shen. According to Shen, it had it. According to the information provided by the passers-by and the surveillance footage, Mayor Shen's secretary had kindly bought bus tickets for the mother and daughter. It was said that they were returning to their hometown. He found have was Shan Tang on Tang and on. Tang. He had time. He found, he. Tian, do train. Dong, he on, sect. Other Ming. Li. How? In other words, he was still in Jianchuan. Lin Mu and went to exit number 5 and saw several snack bars and beggars at the exit. The first thing Lin Mu and did was ask for the surveillance footage from the snack bar. Tang Yen had said that he must have a breakthrough today. Otherwise, he would not be considered qualified. However, the surveillance cameras in the snack bar did not record the mother and daughter's whereabouts. Then, Lin Mu and tried asking the homeless man at the door. He didn't think that these people, who only had money in their eyes, would remember or even see the mother and daughter. This pair of mother and daughter? I have, but I will only tell you where they went if you give me money. I saw them too. I saw them get into a black car. No, they clearly went that way. The 3 beggars each had their own story. They just wanted Lin Mu and to pay. Lin Mu and sighed. At this time, an old man sitting at the exit number 5 said, the 2 of them left in a taxi. The taxi driver is surnamed Lu. He often pulls illegal cabs in this area. That day, the mother and daughter were in a hurry to leave, so they got into his car. I don't know where they went exactly. Thank you, sir. Lin Mu and turned around and thanked him. Go to Hongyuan Taxi Company. You can find this driver surnamed Lu. The old man waved his hand and closed his eyes again. He was an old resident here, so he was familiar with the surrounding area. After Lin Mu and knew the situation, he immediately rushed to the taxi company. With the help of the manager, he found 2 drivers surnamed Lu. After combining the opinions of his colleagues, Lin Mu unlocked onto the target. Only God knew how much effort he had put in to get to this point. By the time he found the driver surnamed Lu, it was already evening. It was snowing in the sky of Jianchuan. It's not easy to find you. Lin Mu and forced himself into the driver's car and took out his ID to catch his breath. When the driver saw that it was a police officer, he was a little nervous. Officer, I didn't do anything wrong. Don't arrest the wrong person. Then tell me one thing first. Have you seen this mother and daughter in the photo? Lin Mu and took out the photo and asked the driver. The driver took a few glances and scratched his head. I think I've seen them. I even quarreled with this woman. Yes, it's this B*TCH. She got out of the car in a hurry to reincarnate and didn't even give me enough money. Where did she go? A residential area on Changwon Road called Tianhuan. What else? Lin Mu and continued to ask, if you missed anything, about you driving an illegal cab, Don't, officer. After sending the mother and daughter to their destination that day, the woman got out of the car with the little girl. I saw that she didn't give me enough money, so I immediately drove after them. Who knew that there would be two strong men behind her? They entered the gate of the residential area together. I was afraid of getting into trouble, so I didn't get out of the car. In other words, the mother and daughter were now hiding in Tianhuan. I've remembered you and your license plate. If you dare to lie, The driver quickly waved his hands and begged for mercy. Officer, I'm just a small driver. You don't have to be angry with me. Lin moo and let out a breath and finally let the driver go. He got out of the taxi. Then, he stood by the street and called Tang Yen. Deputy Chief, I found out that they're in Tianhuan. They're not in Tianhuan, Tang Yen immediately replied on the other end of the phone. How do you know? Logically speaking, if you can follow the clues to Tianhuan, then the other party will also know that they left something on you. So, going to Tianhuan is just for show, but the destination is definitely not there, Tang Yen replied. So, the information I found is useless, right? You're tuning into the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.